The once cold and glamorous schoolbelle who had countless men groveling at her feet had now fallen so far that even stray dogs turned their heads away. All because, in this world where everyone awakened spirit weapons, she ended up with the most worthless one. Everyone began to distance themselves, isolating her like a curse. Yet Han Zhan, against all opposition, chose to form a contract with her. Those who witnessed it all thought he had lost his mind. But what they didn't know was, at the very moment the contract was sealed, the girl once mocked as an E-rank loser instantly transformed into a 3S ranked spirit weapon, an ancient divine relic, the Fushi Zither. Decades ago, Blue Star was invaded by a massive swarm of insectoids. To survive, humanity developed a unique art known as the spirit contract. Upon reaching adulthood, every woman awakens into her spirit weapon form. Meanwhile, men awaken spirit talents, becoming spirit masters who wield those weapons. Together, they fight side by side to fend off the terrifying insectoid threat. And today marked the annual awakening ceremony at Qingting Academy. A young girl stepped down from the platform, looking utterly dejected. She had only awakened a basic C-rank spirit weapon, a horse-slaying blade. Watching all this unfold made Han Zhan even more anxious. After all, he had just transmigrated into this world and had no idea what kind of spirit talent he would awaken. At that moment, a sweet-looking girl stepped onto the awakening platform. She placed her hand on the awakening stone. In an instant, a crimson beam of light shot into the sky. Her figure began to blur rapidly, and within just 2.5 seconds, she transformed into a sharp, gleaming spear. The teacher handling the registry leapt to his feet, shouting with excitement, "Xiao Mei, S-rank spirit weapon, blood-washed silver spear. Traits, immortal aura, everlasting essence." The moment he spoke, the entire hall erupted in shock. It had been years since the Academy had seen an S-rank spirit awakening, let alone one with dual traits. So this was the true weight of an S-rank. Just then, Xiao Mei, freshly awakened, walked up to Han Zhan and said coldly, "Han Zhan, we're breaking up. I'm no longer someone you can reach. From now on, don't even think about coming near me again." Her words triggered a wave of laughter from the crowd. But Han Zhan remained completely unfazed. So what if she awakened an S-rank? Did she really think he was still the desperate simp from before? He recalled how, in his past life, the original host bent over backward for her, giving everything without a bottom line. And in return, punches, kicks, and humiliation, no dignity left. In this life, he swore he'd never beg for that fake-hearted snake again. Yet the jeers around him continued. "Han Zhan, you broke loser. Give it up. A chicken like you want a phoenix? Dream on." Han Zhan frowned. "You ass-kissing parasites. What if I awakened something beyond S-rank?" Xiao Mei scoffed. "Beyond S-rank? Please, do you even hear yourself?" Just then, his name echoed from the awakening platform. Without another word, Han Zhan strode forward. After all, Han Zhan was just as curious. What kind of spirit talent would he awaken? But to his surprise, 25 full seconds passed, and the awakening stone remained completely unresponsive. Xiao Mei let out a mocking laugh. "Just as I thought. Even awakening is a struggle for trash like you. And you dare to dream of something beyond S-rank." The bystanders chimed in, gloating. Xiao Mei really knows how to pick 'em. Who wouldn't dump that loser? But before they could finish, a blinding beam of golden light shot up into the sky, flooding the entire area. Everyone stood frozen, stunned by the sheer force of energy. Was this an S-rank? Or maybe SS rank? Then, without warning, the golden vortex in the sky came crashing down, completely engulfing the awakening platform. The next moment, Han Zhan's spirit talent was revealed. Han Zhan SSS-Rank spirit talent. Divine Resurrection. Xiao Mei stood frozen, her jaw dropping. How is this possible? An SSS-Rank spirit master is a once-in-a-century miracle. How could someone like him awaken that? The boys who had just been mocking him now stared in disbelief, their faces filled with envy. The girls, meanwhile, went absolutely wild, charging toward him like crazed fans. "Pick me, big bro. I'm an A-rank 7-spirit battle axe. Perfect weight, balanced swing. Han, over here. I'm a B-rank twin spirit rings. I might not be top tier, but I've got skills, 360 cosplay outfits, guaranteed a new theme every day." But Han remained stone cold. "A bunch of painted clowns. All you do is slow down my sword." He opened his personal panel and began reviewing his stats. Seeing the insane abilities tied to his SSS-Rank talent, he couldn't help but marvel. So this was what a truly broken start looked like. Just then, Xiaomei shamelessly walked back over with a fake smile. "Han, I admit I may have been a little harsh earlier. Let's get back together. If you agree to form a contract with me, I'll even let you hold my hand starting today." Han twitched at her words. 2.5 years of dating, and now she finally allowed hand-holding. As if he should be grateful? What did she think this was, a cartoon romance? Seeing he didn't reply, Xiaomei pressed on. "Still not satisfied? Fine, maybe I'll allow a kiss. Or one time. Where you can push the line just once." Han didn't even bother answering. His focus had already shifted. He planned to use his divine insight to search for a worthy spirit partner. But Xiaomei mistook his silence. "One time's not enough? Then, how about once a day, Han? Would that be okay?" Her desperate plea triggered a wave of eye rolls from the nearby girls. "Drop the innocent act already. Our Han isn't falling for your tricks anymore. You dumped him like trash 5 minutes ago, and now you're crawling back? Have you no shame? Let's be real. If Qingting Academy's top beauty, Xia Yuwei, hadn't awakened an E-rank spirit, no one would even be talking about you." And at that moment, Xia Yuwei stood silently in the crowd, her head lowered. Because in this world, without power, no matter how beautiful you are, you're just worthless. Surrounded by mockery and whispers, Xia Yuwei couldn't hold back her tears. "All I did was awaken an E-rank spirit. Why are they treating me like this?" Overwhelmed with emotion, she broke down and ran away in tears. But by sheer coincidence, she crashed straight into Han arms. Han instinctively caught her, wrapping his arm around her slender waist. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. But the moment he caught a glimpse of her profile, his eyes widened in shock. Xia Yuwei, E-rank spirit, Fushi Zither. Traits none. Divinity present but not awakened. Fushi Zither, one of the 10 ancient divine weapons. And it's rated E-rank in this world? Are you kidding me? As Xia Yuwei flushed red and began apologizing in a panic, Han simply placed his hand gently on her head and said, "Xia Yuwei, would you be willing to become my exclusive spirit partner?" His words sent the nearby girls into chaos. Han, are you crazy? Don't you know forming a contract with an E-rank will drag your own rank down too? Xiaomei was utterly furious. "You'd seriously choose some useless trash over me? Fine, I'll fight you to the end." At that moment, the academy principal arrived in a hurry and stepped in. Han, calm yourself. Don't let impulse cloud your judgment. Forming a spirit contract is a serious matter. You've awakened an SSS-Rank talent. You are the future of Daxia. Defeating the insectoids and reclaiming lost territory is the mission of all mankind. Xia Yuwei, with tears streaming down her cheeks, nodded and added, "The principal's right. My talent isn't worthy of someone like you." Han was just about to respond when a harsh voice cut in. "You're Han, right? Quite the commotion you've caused today." Upon hearing the voice, Xiaomei's face lit up with joy. "Godfather, you came." Zhao, who stepped forward, scowling. "I heard someone's been bullying my precious goddaughter, just because he awakened some fancy talent. Care to explain?" As he spoke, he grabbed Han by the collar. "Do you want me to make one call and have every contract in Deep Blue City shut off for you? Know your place, punk." Xiaomei chimed in smugly. "Yeah. Apologize now and form a contract with me. Otherwise, my godfather will make sure you're blacklisted for life." Looking at the twisted faces of that so-called godfather and daughter, Han disgust only deepened. "You? Trash like you think you're qualified to threaten me?" The words had barely left his mouth before Zhao, who exploded with rage. raising a hand to slap Han Zhan into the ground. But the principal stepped in just in time, blocking the strike. Vice Captain Zhao, calm down. He's an SSS-ranked awakener. I've already filed a report with the higher-ups. You can't touch him. Zhao Hu glared at the principal with venom in his eyes. Fine, I'll let this slide, but he must form a contract with that worthless Xia Yue, or this deal's off. Han Zhan chuckled. Sure, I'll form a contract with Xia Yue right now, and no one, not you, not anyone, can change my mind. With that, he reached out and gently took Xia Yue's hand. Let's go, Campus Bell. It's time to make this contract official. Hearing the firmness in his voice, Xia Yue's eyes filled with tears once again. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drag you into this. But Han Zhan just smiled. No need to apologize, because you're worth it. As the contract ceremony began, golden chains manifested in the air, slowly wrapping around the two of them, binding them together. Without hesitation, Han Zhan activated his skill Divine Insight. A wave of warmth and energy surged through Xia Yue's entire body, reaching every nerve and vein. In an instant, a cocoon of violet light wrapped around her completely. A faint, ethereal melody began to echo from above, as if descending from the heavens themselves. In Han Zhan's hands, a radiant, sacred zither began to materialize. A system prompt echoed in his mind. Xia Yue. Contract Spirit Evolution Complete. Grade, SSS. Form, Ancient Divine Weapon, Fushi Zither. Trait, Divine Will, Blade Heart, Melodic Soul. At the same time, 3 melodies became available in his mind. Breaking Array, a Battle Hymn, Calming Flow, a Restorative Tune, and Dragon Soar, a support piece. Han Zhan stood frozen in awe. This spirit wasn't just powerful. It was flawless. No weaknesses, fully balanced in offense and defense. Xia Yue slowly opened her eyes, awakening from the contract. The moment she felt her leap from E-Rank to SSS, she couldn't hold back her emotions any longer and threw herself into his arms. Thank you, Han Zhan. Watching the contract complete, Zhao Hu and Xiao Mei had long since slinked back into the crowd, silently disappearing from the scene. Godfather, Han Zhan humiliated me in front of everyone. You have to make it up to me. Xiao Mei whined pitifully. Zhao Hu smirked. Don't worry. He bonded with an E-rank spirit. His talent's as good as ruined. I've already made arrangements for tomorrow's assessment. He's going to learn what real pain feels like. Then he leaned toward Xiao Mei, voice full of implication. So, my sweet goddaughter, what do you plan to thank me? Xiao Mei blushed and giggled. Godfather, you're so naughty. Let's go to the usual place. I'll give you a proper thank you there. News of Han Zhan awakening an SSS level talent, but bonding with an E-rank spirit spread like wildfire throughout Deep Blue City. Zhao Hu, watching the flood of online insults and mockery, smiled with satisfaction. Looks like the smear campaign against him is working. But that's just the appetizer. Once the real test begins, he'll find out what true cruelty is. Xiao Mei clapped her hands and beamed. Godfather, you're amazing. The next morning, Han Zhan brought Xia Yue to the cafeteria for breakfast. Instantly, murmurs and gossip buzzed all around them. Xia Yue lowered her head in guilt, her voice trembling. I'm sorry, I dragged you down with me. But Han Zhan simply ruffled her hair and smiled. You're the campus belle. Can't you show a little confidence? Then he handed her a piece of bread. Eat up. You'll need your strength for the spirit contract assessment. Don't mess it up. As for those clowns out there, let them jump around. They'll find out real soon just how wrong they were. Just then, a voice suddenly called out from behind Han Zhan. Xiao Mei walked over with a man beside her and sneered. So you're the famous Han Zhan? SSS-Rank genius, huh? You don't look like much. She then proudly introduced the man next to her. This is my new spirit contractor, the legendary Wang Lumao. Han Zhan nearly choked on his milk and spat it out. What kind of name was that? Might as well be called Donk Ikong. Seeing Han Zhan laugh uncontrollably, Wang Lumao's face turned red with rage. He looked ready to throw hands on the spot, but Xiao Mei quickly grabbed him and stopped him. Lumao, don't stoop to the level of a washed-up loser like him. The test is about to start. Let's go. Not long after, The instructor finished announcing the rules, and the spirit contractor assessment officially began. The first pair to take the stage was none other than Wang Lumao and Xiao Mei. As the massive gates slowly creaked open, everyone held their breath. A giant insect loomed into view. Its name popped up on the screen. Blackhorn bug detected. Test level 1. Wang Lumao stepped forward with a sharp command, and Xiao Mei's body began to phase out, entering full spirit contract form. In the next instant, his weapon shifted form, transforming into a gleaming, blood-washed silver spear. As the massive blackhorn insect charged toward him, Wang Lumao planted his spear into the ground, pivoting gracefully to dodge. Then, with a burst of strength, he launched himself into the air and unleashed a devastating strike. His body and spear fused into a single golden flash, piercing straight through the insect's abdomen in one clean motion. Gasps erupted from the crowd. That's what an S-rank spirit master can do. Insane. Meanwhile, on the monitor wall at the assessment center, the panel of examiners stared intently at the battle feed. Watching the insect fall in a single blow, the commander of District 1, Wei Qing, scoffed. 2.5 seconds to kill a blackhorn? Weak. Our generation would have wiped the floor with him. A second later, the elder in the center gave him a sharp flick to the forehead. How many times do I have to tell you? Stop acting like you're my dad every time you open your mouth. You want to be my dad or something? At that moment, Lin Jingxian, the commander of the 2nd District, spoke up. Xiao Mei could have performed much better, but she's at least 20% weaker than expected. I suspect she's lost spirit energy due to a lack of discipline in her personal life. Hearing that, Zhao Hu coughed awkwardly from behind, a cold sweat forming. Did I go too hard on her last night? Meanwhile, Wang Lumao and Xiao Mei had successfully cleared a level 7 assessment, breaking the academy's previous level 6 record. Some students started mocking gleefully. Where's Han Zhan? That loser with the E-rank spirit? I just want to see the look on his face. But Han Zhan, unfazed, calmly walked toward the testing area with Xia Yuwei by his side. However, the gate to the testing chamber didn't open right away. Just as he was wondering what was going on, 10 blackhorn insects suddenly burst out from behind the door. Han Zhan and Xia Yuwei both froze. Why are there still 10? Down below, the crowd erupted with amusement. Are they getting singled out? Now, this is entertainment. The examiner turned around and explained flatly. Test difficulty varies by individual. SSS-Rank talents are subject to 10 times the standard challenge. But in truth, the examiner had already been bribed by Zhao Hu. Staring down the swarm of blackhorn insects, Han Zhan's expression didn't shift an inch. So be it, come at me. In the next instant, Xia Yuwei transformed into the Fushi Zither, hovering protectively in front of him. With a flick of his fingers across the strings, a massive blade of energy burst forth, clearly visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, all 10 blackhorn insects were sent straight to hell. Silence fell across the assessment field. Dead silence. That was an E-rank spirit? If he's considered a failure, what does that make the rest of them? In the observation room, Wei Qing shot to his feet. Back in my day, it took me over 30 seconds to kill that many bugs. He did it in 1 second, but Zhao Hu's face darkened. That's still not enough. This doesn't show the full extent of an SSS level talent. Increase the difficulty. The elder at the center of the panel pondered for a moment, then nodded. Agreed. I want to see what his true limits are. In the next moment, 20 more blackhorn insects stormed into the arena. Yet Han Zhan's expression remained calm, unshaken, unimpressed. As Han Zhan's fingers danced across the strings, the notes began to transform, each one sharpening into blades of pure sound, swirling around him like a deadly storm. In just a single exchange, all 20 blackhorn insects were obliterated. He calmly remarked, "Is that all? You're still far too weak." Gasps erupted from the crowd. Did he just say that out loud? This guy's insane. He's flexing in front of the officials. Meanwhile, in the observation chamber, Wei Qing was in a heated debate with 3rd District Leader Yi Qiu and 4th District Commander Shin Jiqi over who would get to claim Han Zhan. But before their argument could escalate, the elder in the center cleared his throat. Instantly, silence fell. He turned toward Lin Jingxian. Your thoughts? Lin Jingxian replied calmly. With a display like that, this assessment level is meaningless. I recommend activating the highest protocol from the archives. The elder closed his eyes briefly in thought, then nodded slowly. Very well. Let be done. Hearing this, Zhao Hu's face twisted into a sinister grin. Let's see how long you keep acting tough, boy. Moments later, the proctor announced the updated test parameters. Challenge: 30 tier, 2 armored lizards. 10 tier, 2 thunderhawks. The announcement triggered a collective gulp from the crowd. Is this even an exam anymore? That's a full-on execution squad. Even legit tier, 2 spirit masters would struggle with that. Standing on a platform, Han Zhan calmly accepted the challenge. After all, he too wanted to know where his limits truly lay. The Thunderhawks scattered into the sky, circling for optimal attack angles, while the armored lizards lined up shoulder to shoulder, forming an impenetrable wall. As the Thunderhawks shrieked, signaling their assault, Han Zhan moved. His fingers struck the strings without hesitation. Notes burst forth and transformed into spectral warriors, charging the enemy front. But the warriors were halted immediately, blocked by the lizard's thick armored scales. In that brief window, the Thunderhawks made their move. Streams of blue lightning erupted from their beaks, merging into a colossal electric net that descended upon Han Zhan from above. Within seconds, the spectral soldiers were fried and shattered. Yet Han Zhan didn't dodge. Instead, he launched himself upward straight into the storm. As he moved, 2 afterimages flickered beneath him, his speed nearly unreal. His hands never paused, plucking the strings with deadly precision. The resulting sound split into countless intersecting blades of force. This piece is called Formation Breaker. In the very next moment, both the armored lizards and Thunderhawks fell silent, collapsing where they stood. Watching the display, Wang Lumao's eyes nearly turned green with envy. Damn it, just how much strength has this guy been hiding? As the instructor officially announced, Han Zhan had cleared level 3 difficulty. The elites in the observation chamber could no longer remain composed. This kid is unreal. His zither attacks shift unpredictably. His speed enhancement is at least 10-fold. I've never seen anything like it. And the girl beside him, Xia Yuwei, can she really be just an E-rank spirit? The elder at the center furrowed his brows, then turned toward the shadows. Afu, step forward. At his command, a blur zipped into view. Afu appeared silently behind him. Master, your orders? The elder's voice dropped into a low, serious tone. You possess the ability to assess spirit ranks. Go now. I want Xia Yuwei's true classification. Afu's eyes gleamed slightly. I've already tried to scan her. No result. Her case might be similar to the young mistress. The elder's head snapped toward him, stunned. You mean, just like Ling Zhen, she was classified as E-rank at awakening. Yet even your talent couldn't analyze her? And her sudden strength comes from forming a contract with Han Zhan. Receiving a silent nod, the elder fell into deep thought. Something's not right. We may need to arrange a meeting between Ling Zhen and Han Zhan. Then he turned again to Afu. By the way, what was Ling Zhen's spirit called again? The one marked E-rank. Afu's receding hairline gleamed faintly as he replied, Shinnong Cauldron. Meanwhile, on the assessment platform, the test difficulty continued to climb steadily. But Han Zhan cleared each stage effortlessly, completing every challenge perfectly. And yet, he still hadn't felt any sign of reaching his limit. So when the instructor informed him that he had passed 9 consecutive levels and could now withdraw, Han Zhan calmly made a request to take on difficulty level 10. The moment the words left his mouth, the room went still, shocked gasps everywhere. After all, the 10th trial involved a real tier 3 beast. One wrong move, and it would mean instant death. At that moment, the instructor issued a final warning. In your current condition, success is impossible. But Han Zhan had already sat down cross-legged, entering his first round of rest. The instructor added, according to the rules, rest time must not exceed 5 minutes. With his eyes gently closing, Han Zhan replied calmly, I know, That's why, just give me the length of a song. As he activated his recovery skill, a soft green glow enveloped his body, bathing him in radiant light. The audience exploded once again. Dude, what is this guy? Attack, support, buff, and healing? Is he running the full God-tier loadout? At the same time, the observation room was thrown into chaos. This one's a prodigy. I'm pulling him into District 2. Wei Qing's aura surged like a wave. Oh, trying to steal from District 1, are you? But Lin Jingxian wasn't intimidated in the slightest. Why not? Let's make it a wager. Winner gets the boy. At that moment, Lu Jingchun, commander of the 5th District, stood up. Are you seriously suggesting that someone capable of absorbing spirit energy, healing injuries, and buffing teams should be thrown onto the front lines? Let him come with me. I could reduce battlefield casualty rates by at least 30% with someone like him. His proposal instantly sparked outrage. No way. Absolutely not. As the argument escalated, the elder at the center slammed his fist down with a thunderous bang. Enough. All of you shut up. The 8 war zones of Daxia have each fulfilled their duties with honor. Together, they've upheld the strength and survival of our nation. I've long considered establishing a 9th war zone, but never found the right opportunity. Now, I believe the time has finally come. His words sent shockwaves through the room. The 8-zone commander's eyes all narrowed sharply. Can he really take on that kind of responsibility? As they debated, Han Zhan's next trial began. This time, his opponent was a Tier 3 insectoid. The Crimson Flame Beast .to pass, he would have to survive 3 minutes under its assault. The beast let out a deafening roar that shook the arena. A wall of scorching heat surged toward the stands, launching spectators 2.5 meters into the air. But Han Zhan remained unmoved, standing tall at the center of the battlefield, unshaken and resolute. You ready, Yue? Han Zhan asked quietly. Xia Youwei's voice echoed in his ear, firm and unwavering. No matter what you choose to do, I'll support you. No conditions. Good, he nodded. Then let's do this. As a spirit master, I didn't come here just to survive. He placed his hand on the Fushi zither again and whispered, with righteous will that spans 1,000 miles. Wind, answer my call. At his command, invisible winds from all directions began to gather and howl. The force was so strong it blew off the school director's wig, and even caused the skirts of several female students to fly upward. Within seconds, a massive tornado formed right in front of him. The Crimson Flame Beast, caught off guard, was lifted high into the sky. Then came a thunderous boom, as the tornado exploded into countless wind blades that shredded the beast into pieces. The crowd stared in open-mouthed disbelief. Holy crap, he actually did it. That was a real Tier 3 beast. Off to the side, Wang Lumao and Xiao Mei clenched their jaws so tightly it looked like their teeth might break. Damn it, he stole all the spotlight. Meanwhile, Han Zhan stood on stage, utterly drained. Forcing out that high-tier zither piece had taken a massive toll on his body. Suddenly, the entire environment around him shifted dramatically. Young man, congratulations. You've passed the first phase and entered the second testing space. A calm voice echoed as a man in glasses stepped forward. Lin Jingxian, commander of the 2nd war zone. I only have a few questions. First, who do you think will win in the end? The insectoids or humanity? And second, now that you've become a spirit master, what are you truly fighting for? Han Zhan raised a clenched fist to his chest and answered without hesitation. Maybe the insectoids will win a battle, but humanity will never lose the war. I became a spirit master to defend our homes, protect peace for our people, and restore the flag of Daxia to every inch of lost land, to rebuild our nation's glory. As soon as the words were spoken, a round of applause erupted from the viewing room. The elder stepped forward with a smile. Well said, boy. Would you be willing to take me, Li Shatong, as your teacher? Hearing that name, Han Zhan was shaken. Li Shatong, the legendary figure from the strongest clan in Daxia, the Leaf family. Years ago, when the 3 insect emperors joined forces to destroy Daxia, The nation teetered on the edge of annihilation. In that darkest hour, Li Shutong stood alone against them, slaying all three and turning the tide of the war. Recalling that legendary feat, Han Zhan looked at the kind elder before him with admiration burning in his eyes. Without hesitation, he dropped to his knees and bowed with utmost respect. "Master, I humbly accept you as my teacher." Li Shutong laughed heartily and helped him up. "Excellent. You're much more to my liking than those stiff-necked brats. Here, consider this a gift for our first meeting." This ring was forged from the bones of a Tier 9 insect emperor. It holds a vast void space inside. It's yours now. The ring could intimidate lower-tier insect beasts, but against stronger ones, it might provoke even fiercer attacks. Li Shutong added calmly, "If you're concerned, you don't have to wear it all the time." But before he could finish, Han Zhan eagerly slipped the ring onto his finger. Li Shutong burst into laughter. "Good, that's more like it. Not like some cowards who wouldn't even dare wear it." He shot a sharp glare at Lin Jingxian as he spoke. "All right, enough chit-chat. You and that young lady just finished a brutal exam. You must be worn out. I'm in a good mood today, so let's grab some hot pot. I'll introduce you to your senior brothers while we're at it." Soon after, the group arrived at a well-known hot pot restaurant. Once everyone had gathered, Li Shutong began the introductions. "This is your second senior brother, Lin Jingxian. You've already met him. The others here are your third senior brother, Yi Qiu, your fourth senior brother, Shun Jiqi, and your fifth senior brother, Lu Jingchun." Han Zhan and Xia Yuwei immediately stood and bowed. "Greetings, senior brothers." The third and fourth brothers smiled warmly. "Your sixth brother is stationed at the border and couldn't leave. Your seventh brother is overseas, so he won't be around either. As for your eighth brother..." Before he could finish, a figure suddenly appeared behind Han Zhan. "No need for introductions. I'm already here." As he spoke, the eighth senior brother handed Han Zhan a small note. "This is my number. Call me if you're in serious danger. But remember, you only get one shot." With that, he vanished without a trace. Han Zhan blinked, slightly stunned. Well, he's definitely got a unique personality. Just then, Lin Jingxian brought out a bundle of gifts from the senior brothers: fighting techniques, a reinforced combat robe, and several useful tools. Han Zhan thanked them all sincerely before accepting the generous welcome gifts. But suddenly, a large woman barged into the private room, shouting without warning. "So it's like that, Xia Yuwei? Living off my family for years, and now you're out here enjoying luxury without us." Xia Yuwei's face paled the moment she saw the woman. She quickly stood up to explain, but the woman mistook her reaction for defiance. She raised her hand to slap Xia Yuwei across the face. In the nick of time, Han Zhan reached out and blocked her hand. Enraged, the woman turned her fury on him. "So you're the punk who stole my niece? I raised her all these years. You better pay up today, or else." Xia Yuwei clenched her fists, eyes blazing as she stared down the large woman. "Auntie, that's enough. Say whatever you want about me, but don't you dare insult Han Zhan." The woman froze for a second or two, then exploded. "Oh, did you just yell at me? Looks like someone's grown a pair. Passed one little test, and now you think you're untouchable, huh?" She pointed a finger at Xia Yuwei and shouted, "Let me tell you something. My niece's uncle works for the 4th District. One word from me, and you'll be blacklisted from the entire Spirit Binder world." Hearing this, 4th senior brother Shun Jiqi looked completely baffled and was about to ask something, only to be cut off mid-sentence. "Who the hell are you? Nobody asked for your opinion," the woman snapped. She then turned and jabbed a finger at Li Shutong. "And you, aren't you Han Zhan's grandpa or something? Listen up, old fart. If you want to take Xia Yuwei away, you'd better cough up a full bride price, cash house car, the whole damn package, and all of it in my name. I've got relatives in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th districts. Try denying me and see what happens. I'll make your life a living hell." Li Shutong slammed his hand on the table and stood up livid. "What are you all standing around for? She just called me an old fart in public. Start making some calls." The other district leaders looked furious. What the hell? How did trash like this end up connected to our districts? But the hefty woman still looked smug. "Calling backup? Go ahead. I've got powerful people backing me too." Just then, Her phone buzzed loudly from her pocket. As soon as she picked up, someone on the other end exploded. "You crazy witch. Are you trying to get our whole family killed? From now on, we're done. Don't ever contact us again." Before she could even process that, a second call came in. "If you want to die, do it alone. Don't drag us down with you. One last warning. Stay the hell away from Han Zhan and Xia Yue." Her face turned pale as a sheet. She collapsed to the ground, trembling. What's going on?" Li Shutong looked down at her coldly. "You say you've got connections? Too bad. I don't have anyone above me anymore." At that moment, a restaurant staff member came in politely. "Ma'am, please leave." But instead of leaving, the woman threw herself on the ground, wailing. "Look, everyone, spirit binders are bullying a regular civilian. They're trying to ruin me." Li Shudong's face darkened. "Enough noise." With a casual wave of his hand, he sent her flying 1,000 miles away. Xia Yue lowered her head in shame. "I'm sorry, master. This is all my fault." But Li Shudong didn't blame her. Instead, he smiled kindly. "From now on, treat us as your real family. Don't go back to that place anymore. You'll live with Han Zhan at my home." Upon hearing that, Xia Yue was deeply moved and quickly expressed her gratitude. Li Shutong waved it off with a smile. "No need to be so polite. Come eat." As he dipped ingredients into the bubbling hot pot, he casually began to explain the etiquette of the 9-grit hot pot. The center is for quick-dipping veggies. The 4 larger surrounding sections are for main dishes, and the 4 smaller corner sections are for ingredients that need to simmer longer. Hearing this, Han Zhan tilted his head thoughtfully. "Teacher, which one am I then? Quick dip, slow cook, or long simmer?" Li Shutong chuckled. "That I can't say. Everyone has their own path. It's not something others can decide for you." Han Zhan lowered his gaze again, falling into deep thought. Suddenly, Li Shutong froze. "Wait a second. Where's my beef tripe? And my sliced beef?" Just as he finished speaking, Xia Yue sheepishly nudged her overflowing bowl toward Han Zhan. Seeing the pile of meat nearly spilling over, Han Zhan hurriedly covered it with his hand and awkwardly changed the subject. By the way, why didn't the sisters-in-law, your contracted partners, join us today?" Lin Jingxian shrugged and replied with a knowing smirk. "Clearly, you two haven't shared a room yet. After a spiritual contractor couples with their partner, they gain a small replication ability. It's not strong, but it can be very useful. Contract spirits come in 2 forms, object-based and human-like manifestations. At this moment, their sisters-in-law were maintaining human form, holding their positions at the front lines. Lin Jingxuan's explanation finally cleared Han Zhan's doubts. It turned out that contract masters and spirits could not only fight as one, but also operate independently. Lin Jingxian then voiced his own curiosity. Is Xia Yue really just an E-rank contract spirit? Since they were all fellow disciples, Han Zhan didn't hide anything. He shared everything about his bond with Xia Yue. After hearing the truth, everyone gasped. "You've got to be kidding. That kind of ability, I've never heard of anything like it." Master Li Shutong then added, "Old 9, your talent must remain secret. Only we are allowed to know. Also, I'll have someone set your files to top security clearance. No one can access them without my permission." With that settled, the senior brothers began reporting on the status of their respective war zones. Upon hearing nothing but good news from the front lines, Li Shudong's mood brightened. "Come, let's drink to the future of Daxia." After several rounds of toasts, each of the senior brothers returned to their own regions to continue guarding the borders. Han Zhan and Xia Yue followed Master Li Shutong to their new home. To Han Zhan's surprise, he didn't expect his teacher to own a house in Deep Blue City. Li Shutong explained, "This city was my wife's hometown." But when Han Zhan asked why his wife wasn't living with him, Li Shutong paused abruptly, his body stiffening. Then, with pain written on his face, he quietly said, "She died in battle. The world remembers me, Li Shutong, as the man who turned the tide and slew the 3 bug emperors. But no one remembers her name. If not for her, I would have been nothing." Hearing this, Han Zhan and Xia Yue fell silent, their expressions heavy. "We're sorry, Master. We didn't mean to bring up painful memories." But Li Shutong didn't scold them. Instead, He gave Han Zhan a heartfelt reminder. You must treat Xia Yue well. Contract spirits aren't just battle tools. They're living, breathing people. They're your other half. Grateful for the wisdom, Han Zhan bowed in thanks, then asked softly, Master, what was her name? Because as long as even one person remembers, she'll never truly be forgotten. Hearing those words, Li Shudong's eyes filled with comfort. You truly are different from the others. I like your spirit. Your master's wife was named Ling Mei. During that legendary battle, I took down one bug emperor, but she gave her life to defeat two. If she were still alive, the honor of saving Daxia would belong to her, not me. With that, he told Han Zhan and Xia Yue to get some rest. Then he quietly stepped outside with a photo frame in hand and murmured, Xiao Mei, I can't even remember the last time I looked at the moon. Just then, Han Zhan and Xia Yue walked over. Master, since she's no longer here, let us keep you company under the moonlight. The words stirred memories of his youth with Ling Mei, warm and bittersweet. But soon, he gathered himself and said solemnly, to protect those we love, we must have the power to do so. With that, he began teaching Han Zhan his most formidable martial art. With a thunderous shout, he hurled his fist forward, and a massive tree before him, nearly 2.5 meters thick, shattered clean in two. This martial art was called the Eight-Lock Fist. It contained 8 seals, each corresponding to a hidden vital point within the human body. Once all 8 were unlocked, the practitioner would transcend their physical limits. But before Li Shudong could finish his explanation, an identical aura suddenly surged around Han Zhan. Master, is this what you meant? Li Shudong was stunned. He stared in disbelief and hurriedly asked how Han Zhan had achieved it. Han Zhan replied casually, saying he had simply followed his instincts to locate the locks. But before he could finish, Li Shudong rolled up his sleeves and lunged forward. You little brat, let me show you what 8-Lock Fist looks like in real combat. The next moment, Han Zhan was sent flying a solid 2.5 meters away. Watching him writhe on the ground, Li Shudong smirked. Being too gifted isn't always a good thing. Sometimes that sharp edge needs a little blunting. Man, nothing beats the joy of humbling a genius student. Soon, the villa echoed with pained howls. Not long after, Han Zhan, bruised and battered, was helped back to his room by a worried Xia Yue. The next day, as Han Zhan and Xia Yue arrived at Qingting Academy, they were immediately greeted by sneers and mocking whispers. Well, isn't it the SSS-Rank spirit contractor who made a splash during the exam? Yeah, made a splash just to end up like trash, thrown out all the same. Xia Yue's face darkened. She was about to confront them, but Han Zhan stopped her. Don't waste your breath. Flies buzz louder the more attention you give them. Without a word more, he led her straight to the principal's office. Principal Chung Guangpu wore a grim expression. I've got some bad news. As per orders from above, the two of you are to report immediately to the city guardians. You'll start from the bottom, handling frontline assignments. Here's the official notice. Please report to the organization without delay. A trace of helplessness crossed the principal's face. I know it's a waste of your talent, but I've already done what I could. This came from higher up, but Han Zhan accepted it without complaint. His gaze was calm. Perhaps this was the very path his master had spoken of. Outside the office, Wang Lumao and his gang, who had been eavesdropping, grew even more arrogant. Han Zhan, I told you, you're not on my level. So what if you pass the hardest test? Offending the authorities is still a death sentence. Han Zhan said nothing. Instead, he responded with a sudden, powerful punch. Wang Lumao sneered without a hint of fear. What? Gonna hit me? I spent all night training with Xiao Mei. My power's doubled now. You think you can just walk over me? With that, he channeled his spiritual energy into his fist and lunged at Han Zhan. But the instant their fists collided, a sharp crack echoed in the air. Wang Lumao's scream of agony followed immediately, echoing down the hallway. Seizing the moment, Han Zhan stepped forward again. He delivered a crushing punch straight to Wang Lumao's face. As Wang collapsed unconscious on the floor, Han Zhan scoffed, "That's it?" Then, calmly taking Xia Yue's hand, he said, "Let's go." That fool had it coming. time to report in. After Han Zhan and Xia Yue left, Principal Chen Guangpu stepped to the doorway and shouted, "Someone help." Wang Lumao passed out from severe kidney deficiency. Get him to the infirmary. Meanwhile, Han Zhan and Xia Yue arrived at the city guardian's headquarters. "Hello, we're here to report for duty," Han Zhan said. The young man at the front desk, who had been playing games, paused mid-click and looked up at them with sudden recognition. "Wait, you two must be the SSS-Rank spirit contract users from Deep Blue City. The ones Vice Captain Zhao said needed extra attention. Yeah, special attention." He quickly tapped through the system. "You're officially registered. Assigned to Unit 0527. Han Zhan, you're the squad leader now. Your office is just around the corner to the left. Welcome aboard." But the moment they pushed open the door, a wave of heavy alcohol stench rushed out to greet them. Xia Yue instinctively covered her nose, while Han Zhan frowned. "This is the 0527 office." Just then, a curvy redhead raised her glass lazily and asked, "Who are you two? What do you want here?" Han Zhan stepped forward confidently. "I'm the new captain of Unit 0527, Han Zhan." The redhead paused, clearly surprised. Meanwhile, a scruffy-looking man lying on a nearby bed scoffed. "A baby-faced kid wants to lead us? Get lost, rookie." Xia Yue's temper flared instantly. "Seriously? Do you even hear yourself? That mouth of yours only spits trash." The man didn't back down. Instead, he swaggered over with a grin. "Ooh, feisty. I like it. Say, cutie, want to be my spear partner?" Before he could finish the sentence, Han Zhan had already stepped in, slamming a fist straight into his face. "You think I'm just here for decoration?" The redhead let out a snort. "Yifan, you deal with a new captain. I'm going to bed." And with that, she turned around and shut the door without another word. Yifan stood up casually and shrugged. "This squad's broke. We can't even afford bottled water. Stay here, and you'll rot like a dead fish." Han Zhan replied calmly, "As long as I'm here, one day we'll be drinking vintage 82 Lafite." Yifan scoffed and pulled open the laptop on the desk. "Take a look at this first." On the screen, Unit 0527 was dead last in the city guard rankings for Deep Blue City. In 2 months, the annual review hits. The bottom squads get cut. Everyone kicked out gets dumped in the lower district. And trust me, there's no law down there, just chaos and Zerg swarms hitting every other day. He hurled his beer to the floor and shouted, "If you don't want to die down there, get out now." Han Zhan pieced it together immediately. This was Zhao Hu's plan, a deliberate move to push him into a corner. Xia Yue, clearly worried, whispered, "Han Zhan, he's already given up on life. He's just dead weight. Let's leave." But Han Zhan shook his head. He knew too well. No matter which squad he joined, Zhao Hu would still come for him. Rather than running away, Han Zhan decided to stay and transform Squad 0527 into the top unit in Deep Blue City, crushing Zhao Hu's scheme entirely. Without another word, he led Xia Yue straight to the red-haired woman's room and pushed the door open. Her expression darkened immediately. "Get out. You're not welcome here." But Han Zhan stood firm. "So, you're really just going to rot away here? Give up?" Red Ingwei, or should I say Bai Shuang. That name hit her like a shockwave. "Who are you? How do you know that?" At that moment, her profile appeared before Han Zhan's eyes. Bai Shuang, Grade A contract spirit, form, illusion ring, trait, deception. Capable of altering her physical form and appearance at will. Han Zhan raised a single finger. "What I just showed you was only a glimpse of my power." Bai Shuang's face tightened, thinking he was trying to blackmail her. But instead, he reached out a hand and offered her a deal, join him on missions, and he'd split the rewards 50-50. Bai Shuang hesitated for 2.5 seconds before agreeing. After all, if Han Zhan could see through her lies, he had to be something special. With the deal sealed, Han Zhan asked her to gather available missions so he could screen them himself. Before long, Bai Shuang returned with a tablet. "There are 3 missions that might suit us," she said. But Han Zhan quickly dismissed them after seeing how low the reward points were. Instead, he selected the one with the highest score. Bai Shuang was stunned. "Are you insane? Didn't you see the recommended team size? 6 to 8 people. That's at least 2 full squads working together. But before she could finish, Han had already hit confirm. He was determined. This was his shot at a comeback. Bai Shuang groaned. You're crazy. If we fail, we lose 10% of the reward as a penalty. Han, calm and confident, replied, Let's go. If anything goes wrong, I'll take the fall. Watching Han walk away, Bai Shuang frowned and muttered, Let's see what you've got. Don't come crawling back begging me to collect your corpse. Meanwhile, at another squad's gathering point, a man shouted while checking his device, Captain, the sewer clearing mission's been taken. The entire team froze. Their squad was ranked number 1. Who else would dare take that high-risk mission? The captain immediately ordered everyone to drop what they were doing and head to the sewer entrance. Let's see who's gutsy enough to steal our job. On the other side, Han, Xia Yuwei, and Bai Shuang arrived at the mission site. Bai Shuang checked the scanner and warned, According to the life detector, there are at least 8 tier 2 bugs inside. Looks like this might be their hive. Han exchanged a determined glance with Xia Yuwei. In the next instant, he launched himself into the darkness and shouted back, Bai Shuang, stay here and wait. We'll be back soon. Bai Shuang stood frozen, completely dumbfounded. Those are tier 2 bugs, she thought. Most squads struggle with just one. This lunatic rushed in like it was nothing. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of monstrous screeches echoing from deep within the sewer. Her heart pounded, jaw clenched so tight it felt like her teeth might crack. But after a moment's hesitation, she launched herself forward without a second thought, diving into the shadows. When she finally reached the inner chamber, what she saw left her stunned. Every single bug was already dead. Eyes wide, she stammered, W8, you did all this? Han gave a casual nod. Yeah, mission went pretty smoothly. Go harvest the materials from their bodies. They should fetch a decent reward. As he walked away, Bai Shuang stared at his back, her mind spinning. Who the hell is this guy? How did he wipe out a whole nest of tier 2 bugs like it was nothing? Meanwhile, inside Zhao Hu's office, one of his subordinates reported, Captain Zhao, Squad 0527 just completed 2 missions. Their points are up to 350 now. Zhao Hu slammed his desk in fury. Are you kidding me? That's how you're supposed to sabotage them. He growled, Han, don't think having backers means I can't crush you. Then he barked another order. Tell the other squads to take every single mission available in Deep Blue City. Don't leave them even a scrap. That evening, during dinner, Han's mentor, Li Shutong, asked with concern, Old 9, I heard about your conflict with Zhao Hu. Do you need help? Han simply shook his head. But then he added calmly, The Guardians may claim to protect the city, but I'm starting to wonder if they even protect anything at all. I'm more worried about what's rotting on the inside. Li Shutong sighed. That's what happens when an organization grows too big. Its roots start to decay. And sometimes the only cure is to burn it all down and start again. Li Shutong spoke with quiet weight. This is why I chose you in the first place. Fire can burn away dead leaves and drive out darkness, but it can also be snuffed out at any moment. How you walk your path from here, that choice is yours. Han nodded thoughtfully, then asked, Master, how can I advance the 8-lock fist to the next stage? Li Shutong's reply was brief, between life and death. After a hearty meal, Han lay down in his room, ready to sleep. Suddenly, Xia Yuwei entered with flushed cheeks and asked softly, Han, can I sleep here tonight? Han shot upright, flustered. This villa's big. Why not sleep in your own room? She lowered her head shyly. Master locked all the other rooms, so I... Han scratched his head awkwardly. Then I'll take the floor. It's cooler anyway. Before he could finish, Xia Yuwei pounced on him, eyes firm. No, tonight, you're sleeping on the bed. What followed that night is best left to the imagination. The next morning, Han arrived at the 0527 squad office, feeling refreshed, with Xia Yuwei at his side. As soon as they walked in, Bai Shuang and Yifan rushed over. Bai Shuang exclaimed excitedly, the new SSS-Rank soulbinder of Deep Blue City, slayer of Tier 2 bugs, the one who soloed a Tier 3 monster, top genius of Qingting Academy. Han, it's actually you. Halfway through her sentence, she abruptly bowed her head. I had no idea you were this powerful. I assumed you were just some well-connected newbie. I sincerely apologize. She added, honestly, placing a genius like you in the City Guardians is such a waste. Stay here long enough, and even someone like you could end up useless. Han-Jan responded calmly. Mediocre people get shaped by their environment. Me? I reshape it. Still, Yifan reminded Han-Jan to stay alert. Zhao Hu was the kind of man who would stoop to anything to get his way. At that moment, Bai Shuang glanced at her tablet and gasped. All the available missions in Deep Blue City have been taken. What now? We finally started making progress. Are we just supposed to sit on our hands again? Han-Jan instantly realized. This was another of Zhao Hu's dirty tricks. Without hesitation, he told Bai Shuang to change their squad's registered location to Shanghai City. In the next instant, a flood of new missions popped up on the screen. Bai Shuang looked stunned, but then her expression shifted to concern. Technically, we could take missions in other cities, but that means we'll be running all over the place just to complete them. Plus, the routes between cities are crawling with high-tier bug monsters. It won't be an easy ride. Sure enough, not long after they left the city gates, they spotted a vehicle up ahead under fierce attack from a swarm of insectoids. Xia Yue paused, then quickly asked, "What is that?" Han-Jan took a glance and explained, "That's a tier 1 bug-ash fly. They operate in swarms, and the larger the swarm, the deadlier the destruction." Just as he finished, Yifan, still lying in the back seat, let out a puzzled "huh." He suddenly sat up with a jolt and shouted, "Holy crap! What is that?" A swirling black tornado had appeared out of nowhere in the clear blue sky. Xia Yue's expression changed instantly. "My God, that many ash flies? The damage will be catastrophic." But Yifan just chugged a mouthful of beer and howled like a madman. "Let's go. Go, go, go. Right into the chaos." At that moment, another convoy appeared near the black tornado, seemingly caught in the attack. Gripping the steering wheel tightly, Bai Shuang asked, "Captain, should we help him?" Han-Jan replied without hesitation, "Of course we help. Bai Shuang, full speed ahead." As soon as the words left his mouth, Yifan raised his bottle high and burst out laughing. "Charge!" Bai Shuang spun the wheel hard, her voice firm as she warned, "Hold on tight, everyone. We're diving in." The very next second, Yifan, who had been shouting like a lunatic, face-planted straight into the floor of the vehicle. But he didn't mind at all. Instead, his grin grew even more twisted as he laughed wildly. "Hell yeah, this is freaking awesome." Meanwhile, on the other side, the convoy was being rapidly overtaken by the Ashfly tornado. In the lead car, the butler turned to Shang's sighting and reported, "Miss, we've maxed out the speed. At this rate, we'll be caught in 2.5 minutes. Backup won't arrive in time. For your safety." He paused for 2.5 seconds, voice heavy. Then, gripping the radio tightly, he shouted, "All units, initiate the sacrifice protocol." Hearing that, Shang's sighting snatched the radio and yelled, "No, get back here. No one is allowed to give up. Not until the last second." But the guards, already prepared for the worst, had turned their vehicles around. Zhang Family Guard Squad. On my mark, 3, 2, 1, fire. A moment later, thunderous explosions erupted from the heart of the tornado, lighting up the sky with flames and shockwaves. But against the overwhelming swarm of ash flies, the guards' attacks were nothing more than a drop in the bucket. Watching the entire guard squad being devoured, Shang's sighting burst into tears. "Damn it, they died because of me." Just then, a faint sound of a guqin echoed from the distance, catching her attention. Sharp sonic blades, formed from the melody, shot toward the black tornado. In an instant, countless ash flies were sliced clean in half midair. On top of a speeding off-road vehicle, Han-Jan calmly strummed the strings of his spirit guqin. With each resonating note, more and more insect corpses rained down from the sky, like a storm of black death. Shang's sighting stood frozen, whispering in awe, "My God, someone's actually breaking apart the storm." Even the butler beside her was stunned. Since when has such a powerhouse appeared nearby? Whose subordinate is he? That's terrifying. Just then, The ash flies, enraged by the slaughter, shifted tactics and turned their focus to Hanjan. From within the tornado, countless black needles, thin as hair, came flying toward him. Before Hanjan could even react, Yi Fan dashed forward, throwing himself in front of the attack. In an instant, every single poison needle pierced into Yi Fan's body. Hanjan's expression changed drastically. Those needles were laced with deadly venom. Without treatment, death would occur in just 25 seconds. Yet Yi Fan stood there laughing wildly, completely unfazed. Ha ha ha, that felt amazing. So damn good. Then, to everyone's shock, the black needles embedded in his body began forcing themselves out one by one. Yi Fan stood up again, as energetic as ever, like nothing had happened. Hanjan stared, dumbfounded. He's an SS-Rank talent? What's this undying trait? Rapid regeneration? Or true immortality? Noticing Hanjan's puzzled look, Yi Fan grinned slyly. You're dying to know what my SS-Rank talent Undying really does, right? Beg me, and maybe I'll tell you. Hanjan turned away with a smirk. In your dreams. By Shuang, head west. Let's hit our first mission site. As the car rumbled on, Hanjan suddenly sneezed twice. He rubbed his nose and muttered, "Weird. I'm not sick. Someone must be talking about me." Just then, Xia Yue spoke up. "Hanjan, I think we've arrived at the mission location." He instinctively looked up. Not far away, several insectoids were wreaking havoc across the area. A thrill crept onto Hanjan's face. "Xia Yue, it's go time. That's a whole lot of points right there." As Xia Yue transformed into her Fushi Zither form, the surrounding insectoids began charging straight at them. With a flick of his fingers, several sonic blades exploded out. In the next second, every insectoid was cleanly cut down, sent straight to meet their maker. Bai Shuang swallowed hard as she watched the scene unfold. This guy, he's insane. Every time, he completely resets what I thought was possible. Over the next few days, several major insectoid extermination missions in Shanghai City were swiftly completed. Their overwhelming efficiency quickly caught the attention of the local Guardian squads. Members started whispering, "Damn, when did we get a team like this in Shanghai? They're monsters." Aside from travel time, they're clearing each mission in under 15 seconds. That's not fighting, it's a slaughter. What if they're elite spirit binders from the front lines? Just farming points now. Meanwhile, the captain of First Squad pulled up the mission logs. His face darkened as he saw the same label over and over. Deep Blue City 0527 Squad. In a rage, he smashed his tablet to the ground. The Deep Blue City Guardians are stealing our missions now. Are they trying to humiliate us? He barked out an order. "First Squad, assemble. We're going to show those outsiders exactly who owns this territory." And just like that, the entire Guardian force of Shanghai City was mobilized into high alert. One squad member grinned with excitement. "Boss, looks like we're not the only ones fed up. If we work together, we'll show that Deep Blue team what real strength looks like." But just as he finished, a chubby guy pointed ahead and shouted, "Crap, look over there." They arrived to find the mission site littered with the corpses of devil-tail serpents, their skins and gallbladders already harvested clean. The first squad's captain turned livid. "Mission snipers. This is outrageous." Slamming his hand on the hood of their vehicle, he barked, "Turn around. We're hunting them down. I want answers today." But one of his subordinates quickly pulled him back. "Captain, word is they already left Shanghai after submitting the mission. Someone just spotted their massive black pickup speeding out the city gates." The captain nearly spat blood from sheer frustration, and the dramatic strains of a sorrowful ballad seemed to echo behind him. Meanwhile, at Guardian HQ, Su Mingxian, the organization's third-in-command, glanced at the latest task reports and murmured, "Huh? Why did mission completion rates suddenly spike in Shanghai, Deep Blue, and the surrounding areas? Did something unusual happen?" Hearing that, his subordinate reported truthfully, "Sir, recently a team from Deep Blue has been labeled a Mission Raider Squad. They've been snatching up tasks from other cities, causing a chain reaction." Su Mingxuan's interest was instantly piqued. "Mission Raiders? Now I'm curious. Who the hell are these people? It wasn't long before 3 files labeled Team 0527 landed on his desk. The first file read, E-Fan, former captain of Deep Blue's Team 0527, SS-Rank Spirit Contractor, once served on the first battlefront. After losing his contracted spirit, he fell into despair and voluntarily joined the Guardian Corps. Talent: undying, theoretically possesses near immortality. File status: top secret. The second file read, Bai Shuang, a rank spirit contractor. Codename: Red Warbler. Served with E-Fan on the same front. Later reassigned together to the Guardian Corps. Talent: lie. Allows spoken lies to become reality. Extremely dangerous. File status: top secret. Su Mingxuan's brows furrowed as he read. 2 top secret cases in a row. That's way too much of a coincidence. But hey, third time's the charm. Surely the last one can't be top secret too, right? Yet when he opened the last file, his jaw dropped. Aside from a name, Han Zhan, the entire document was blank. What the? No data at all? Did someone mess up this file, or what? Just then, the secure phone on Su Mingxuan's desk suddenly rang. The moment he picked it up, a stern voice came through the line. Director Su, this is Lin Jingxian. Hearing that name, Su Mingxuan's heart skipped a beat. Why is that big shot calling me directly? Is the Unity Division about to make a move? Before he could think further, Lin Jingxian continued coldly. Director Su, stop looking into that file. The subject exceeds your clearance level. As the call ended, Su Mingxian wiped the cold sweat from his brow. Unbelievable. Who the hell is Han Zhan? Even top secret doesn't cover his file. Meanwhile, Han Zhan had just completed the 18th mission with his team. He immediately asked Bai Shuang to check their current score. At his request, Bai Shuang quickly pulled up the data on her tablet. E-Fan, practically bouncing with excitement, was certain they'd made it to the top spot. But Bai Shuang looked up with a conflicted expression. We've got 1,800 points now, but we're still ranked dead last. E-Fan and Xia Yue were both stunned. How was that even possible? Is there someone clearing missions faster than us? Bai Shuang clenched her fists and growled. It has to be Zhao who pulling strings behind the scenes. Han Zhan scrolled through the rankings and quickly noticed something strange. Several of the lower-ranked teams were now all tied at 2,300 points. It became obvious they must have coordinated to pool their mission rewards under one name. And since all the missions were completed properly, technically, they weren't breaking any rules. Bai Shuang's jaw tightened with fury. Damn it, this whole thing is targeted at me, isn't it? But Han Zhan remained calm. Don't stress. The gap isn't too big. We still have a chance to catch up. He then added, come on, we've been out long enough. Let's head back to Deep Blue City. Not long after, Li Shetong saw Han Zhan and Xia Yue return to the villa and quickly came over. How did the trip go? Han Zhan didn't sugarcoat it. There were some gains, but overall, the results weren't great. The only good thing? We managed to save the Shang family's convoy. Li Shetong raised an eyebrow. So that little girl from the Shang family you saved, that was Shang's sighting? No wonder she's been pestering me lately, asking how to awaken her power and become a stronger contract binder. He chuckled. She kept calling someone a heartless bastard. Turns out she was talking about you. Seeing Han Zhan's puzzled expression, Li continued, I'm an old friend of her grandfather. To me, she's like my own granddaughter. Her family, the Shangs, run Deep Tech, one of the top 5 corporations. They specialize in advanced weaponry, designed for those without contract spirits. This whole escort mission was actually a setup. They hoped it would scare her into backing off, but you completely flipped their plan. Han Zhan blinked. So, I ruined their plan by trying to help. Li just waved it off. Doesn't matter. What they were transporting was meant for me anyway. He opened a secure case and smiled. And this right here, this is my gift to you both, breakthrough elixirs. These not only boost your base stats, but they might also enhance your innate talent. 1 each, no hesitation. Han Zhan and Xia Yue exchanged a glance and said in unison, Thank you, Master. Without delay, they each took a vial and downed it in one gulp. Within moments, a surge of power enveloped Han Zhan. In just 2.5 seconds, he had successfully advanced to a Tier 2 contract binder. At the same time, Xia Yuwei experienced a dramatic transformation. Not only did she break through to Tier 2, but she also awakened a new divine trait, celestial phenomena, for aspects. Though named celestial will, it was in fact the embodiment of nature's four forces: wind, fire, thunder, and lightning. Alongside this, she unlocked two new battle compositions, Inferno and Six Heavenly Thunders. Feeling the surge of power within her, Xia Yuwei couldn't help but exclaim, "This is incredible. I feel like my strength just exploded." Han Zhan was equally impressed. "These elixirs are insane. If I could take one every day, I'd be unstoppable." Li Shutong laughed and scolded him. "What do you think this is, a vegetable farm? You want to harvest yourself every day." Just then, Han Zhan's phone rang in his pocket. He answered, and White Frost's anxious voice came through. "Captain, check the mission list. There's a Tier 3 Wander-class insect spotted in Deep Blue City. A fully formed Wanderer. It's on par with 3 Tier 3 contract binders combined. Do we take this mission?" Han Zhan didn't hesitate. "Rally at Xixia Road immediately." He grabbed Xia Yuwei's hand and dashed out of the villa without a second thought. Moments after they left, a shadowy figure appeared inside. It was Li Shutong's butler. "Master," he reported softly, "we found Miss Lingjin, but she still refuses to come back." Li Shutong frowned slightly and asked in a deep voice, "Where is she now?" The butler replied truthfully, "Shanghai City." Meanwhile, the entire Squad 0527 had arrived at the rendezvous point. "Captain, have you made up your mind? Are we going or not?" Han Zhan responded seriously, "Why not? This is our chance to flip the rankings." But Bai Shuang looked worried. "The Wandering One is too dangerous. Even in its juvenile form, we're no match for it." Han Zhan turned to her and asked, "Do you know what a red alert really means?" "It means if we don't act now, once that thing matures, it could wipe out an entire city. We're not just fighting for points, we're the city guardians. We fight to protect humanity." The moment he finished, Yifan raised his drink in agreement. "You said it, Captain. Cheers to that." Bai Shuang's face hardened with resolve. "Got it, Captain. I'll drive. Let's get to the mission site." At the same time, Zhang Xiaobei's elite squad from Deep Blue City had also arrived on the scene. Staring at the city blanketed in thick black mist, Zhang Xiaobei explained, "That's the Wandering One's ability, Black Veil. It creates a domain that blocks all external senses. Anything caught inside, alive or not, will rapidly decay and rot away until nothing remains." One of the squad members asked in confusion, "Captain, if HQ already assigned us to handle the Wandering One, why issue a public mission? Do they not trust us?" Zhang Xiaobei replied with just one word, "Decoys." Then he added, "The Wandering One is ridiculously powerful. We need a wave of people to draw its attention. To accomplish big things, you have to make tough calls. If we can take this thing down, Deep Blue City's performance this year will skyrocket. So for now, we hold position. Wait until the first wave of cannon fodder goes in." Meanwhile, Han Zhan's squad had finally reached the edge of the Black Veil. "Everyone ready? Once we're in, there's no turning back." Bai Shuang nodded firmly. "Let's go, Captain. We're all set." Yifan shrugged casually. "This thing doesn't affect me. I'm good either way." Only Xia Yuwei looked visibly tense, clenching her fists. Han Zhan gently grabbed her cold, sweaty hand and reassured her, "Don't worry. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen to you." But the moment they stepped inside, the eerie atmosphere struck them like a wall. Xia Yuwei's expression grew tense again. "I don't know why, but I've had a really bad feeling, like we're being watched by something invisible." Han Zhan responded calmly. "The air's thick with insectoid aura. That might be what's messing with your senses." But before he could finish his sentence, a faint whisper echoed through the air, like something unseen was watching them. Xia Yuwei jumped and clung to Han Zhan's arm. "Did you hear that? There's a weird sound, and it feels like something is draining our life." Bai Shuang quickly explained, "It's one of the Black Veil's abilities, life drain. As long as we're inside, it slowly siphons away our life force until we die." Yifan, unusually serious now, added, "According to intel, we've got no more than 30 minutes. If we don't destroy the core from the inside by then, we'll all become nutrients for the Wandering One. Suddenly, Bai Shuang pointed ahead. You mean that black sphere over there? Yifan glanced at it and nodded grimly. The sphere was steadily absorbing life, energy, like a void devouring everything around it. Han Zhan stared at it for a few seconds and said with a straight face, "So all we need to do is break that thing? Doesn't sound too hard." Just as Han Zhan finished speaking, the ground beneath their feet began to writhe. The once flat surface twisted and buckled violently, leaving the four with no stable footing. Suddenly, Bai Shuang lost her balance and fell into the living terrain below. In a split second, Yifan dove forward and grabbed her just in time. Han Zhan was about to jump in and help, but a massive, solid wall erupted from the earth, slamming down between him and the others. This was the Wandering One's second talent, life infusion. Life could be taken, but also granted, and what it granted life to wasn't limited to creatures. Even weapons, tools, and the ground itself could be animated. Xia Yue instantly shifted into combat mode. If that's the case, then let's break through together. Seeing the Fushi Zither hovering before him, Han Zhan felt a surge of fighting spirit. Without hesitation, he scooped up Xia Yue and launched into the assault. In the blink of an eye, countless shadow blades burst from his fingertips, crashing down on the massive wall like a storm. But to their dismay, the damage vanished within seconds. The wall regenerated completely, as if untouched. Han Zhan frowned, a wave of frustration washing over him. That regeneration is insane. With the current power of the Zither blades, there's no way we're breaking through that. The moment he finished speaking, multiple walls shot up from all directions, turning the entire space into a giant labyrinth. His face darkened as he quickly realized the Wandering One was trying to trap them inside and slowly kill them off. Just then, a flying insect suddenly appeared behind him, launching a high-speed attack at nearly 80 miles per hour. Thankfully, Xia Yue shouted a warning just in time, and he barely dodged the lethal strike. The insect missed its target, then vanished into the wall without a trace. Han Zhan stood frozen for a second. It moved so fast, he wasn't even sure if he had actually seen it. If that thing really is what I think it is, then we're seriously screwed, he muttered. Without another second of hesitation, he scooped up Xia Yue and dashed toward what looked like an exit. Meanwhile, on the other side, Zhang Xiaobei's team was advancing with full confidence, backed by the fact that every member was a Tier 3 spirit practitioner. They believed that even if the mission failed, retreating safely wouldn't be an issue. But just as those words were spoken, the ground beneath them began to writhe violently. In mere seconds, the team was split apart and trapped inside a massive labyrinth. The red-haired squad member instinctively looked for his captain, only to see Zhang Xiaobei standing completely still. Feeling uneasy, he cautiously stepped forward and asked, "Captain, are you okay?" Before he could finish his sentence, Zhang Xiaobei suddenly lunged forward and grabbed him by the throat. As life faded from his eyes, he seemed to glimpse something terrifying, a silver-white insect slowly crawling out from Zhang Xiaobei's forehead. It hovered briefly in the air, then slowly burrowed into his own eye. At the same time, elsewhere in the maze, Bai Shuang and Yifan were supporting each other, struggling to find a way out. Barely 2.5 seconds had passed before Yifan, king of giving up, lost all patience. "We're stuck anyway. Why bother trying so hard? Just lie flat and wait for rescue. That's my specialty." Bai Shuang was instantly furious. "Who says we can't get out?" She slammed her palm against the wall in front of them and shouted, "Wake up! You're nothing more than lifeless dirt." Her innate ability, Lie, took effect, and the massive wall instantly shattered into pieces. Yifan stood there dumbfounded. What the hell? That actually worked? As more and more walls collapsed, Han Zhan's figure finally came into view. From a distance, Bai Shuang called out, "Captain, watch out!" Han Zhan instinctively turned around, only to see a cascade of falling rocks plummeting from above. Fortunately, he reacted in time, launching himself upward and narrowly dodging the attack. Seeing he was unharmed, Bai Shuang and Yi Fan rushed toward him, but they had only taken a few steps when a massive fist suddenly materialized behind them. Han Zhan shouted, "Behind you!" In a flash, he scooped up Hu Shiqin, and with a swift wave of his zither, a sonic blade shot out, cleanly severing the giant fist. As the dust cleared, a towering stone giant, at least 3 meters tall, suddenly appeared before them. Without a word, it launched a brutal attack. The sheer force of its strike sent both Yi Fan and Bai Shuang flying. Han Zhan quickly activated his skill, Joyous Wind, and managed to catch them midair. "These monsters were summoned by the Wandering One," he said sharply. "We need to destroy its core fast. Ever since it unleashed the Black Veil, its body has merged into the realm itself. The only target left is that black sphere. If we break it, we end this." Bai Shuang and Yi Fan exchanged a glance and nodded. "Go, Captain. We got your back." As they spoke, the stone giant let out a roar and charged again. Yi Fan didn't hesitate. He shot forward and shouted, "Grant me immortality." In the next moment, a golden light enveloped his entire body. He took the brunt of the stone giant's 250-yard stomp head-on and remained standing. "Captain," he shouted through gritted teeth, "I can only take 6 hits with this skill. You'd better hurry." Hearing Yi Fan's warning, Han Zhan didn't hesitate. He charged straight at the black sphere. "Spirits of the 6 heavenly generals, servants of the Emperor, rise with my zither and obey my call." As his voice rang out, 6 phantom statues with unique forms materialized in the sky, exuding divine pressure. Thunder roared down from above, striking the black sphere with devastating force. In just 2.5 seconds, the sphere shattered with a loud crack, reduced to dust, and completely obliterated. Yi Fan's face lit up with joy. "Captain, we did it!" But Han Zhan, bloodied and grim, barked back, "Don't celebrate yet, run." The warning came too late. A shadowy figure struck him with a massive punch, sending him flying. "Pathetic humans, none of you are leaving alive." Yi Fan froze as he got a clear look at the attacker. It was a fully matured Wandering One. He was completely stunned. How the hell was there still an adult one here? Just then, Bai Shuang's expression twisted into something eerily cheerful. "I used light to disguise it, and kept it hidden on me the entire time. I was just waiting for the perfect moment to release it and land the final blow." "So? Surprised? Didn't see that coming, did you?" Han Zhan stared at her, confused and furious. "Why the hell would you do that?" Bai Shuang suddenly burst into manic laughter, tears streaming down her face. "Why? Ha ha ha, why? Of course, because I wanted to kill you all." As she spoke, a flicker of silver light appeared deep within her pupils, an unmistakable insect-like silhouette. Han Zhan's face darkened. "That's the second time I've seen it. There's no mistake. She's been infected. Bai Shuang has been parasitized." That silver figure in her eyes, it was none other than the legendary high-tier parasite, the Mind Eater. The Mind Eater was a Tier 4 insectoid, infamous for its terrifying ability, Brain Feast. Any living being it invaded would lose all autonomy and become its puppet. Worse yet, it could reproduce asexually and split itself infinitely. In Blue Star's history, there was once a Tier 7 guardian who was taken over by a Mind Eater. Under its control, he slaughtered the very city he had sworn to protect. Back then, the organization had to pour an enormous amount of time and resources just to bring down the Tier 7 warrior who was infected by the Mind Eater. But this species of parasite was supposedly wiped out completely 25 years ago. So why had it reappear now? Yi Fan stepped in front of Han Zhan, ready to use his immortality skill to buy him time to escape. But Han Zhan shook his head calmly. "There's no way out now. After absorbing the dead juvenile, the adult Wandering One's black veil has expanded tenfold. At our current speed, we'd be dead long before reaching the edge. Yi Fan, all I need is the length of a single song. Just buy me that much time." As Han Zhan closed his eyes and began healing his body, the parasitized Bai Shuang's face twisted with panic. "No, stop him. Now!" As soon as the words left her mouth, the Wandering One raised its arm and unleashed a devastating energy blast. Yi Fan stood firm, activating his immortality, skill, and blocking the strike head-on. But while he was holding the line, Bai Shuang suddenly appeared beside him, grabbing his shoulder with a sneer. "Your so-called immortal body is nothing but a lie." Yi Fan flinched, then roared in fury and slammed his forehead into her face. "You don't get to decide what's real." As Bai Shuang was knocked backward, one of the 10 insects in her pupils split off. It shot forward like lightning, burrowing into Yi Fan's arm before he could react. Without hesitation, he activated immortality again, yanked the parasite from his flesh, and crushed it in his fist with a sickening snap. Only 2 uses of immortality remained. The adult Wandering One watched the whole scene and chuckled darkly. "Impressive ability, but how long can you keep it up?" With that, it began gathering energy once more, this time forming a razor-sharp war spear. Yi Fan didn't flinch. He activated immortality again and took the blow head-on. But as the spear struck, cracks echoed through his golden shield. "Captain," he shouted, voice strained. "How much longer?" At that very moment, the music cut off. Han Zhan opened his eyes, his voice resolute. "Thanks to the healing power of the clarity elixir, I'm back at full strength. You Wei, Yi Fan, take care of the Mind Eater. The adult Wandering One is mine." Without wasting a second, he unleashed the first form of the Eightfold Fist. "Didn't think you'd force me to go all out. Let's see who ends up visiting their ancestors first." But to his surprise, the Wandering One effortlessly dodged the full-powered strike. Even so, it finally wiped the smug look off its face. "Amazing. That kind of power at your age? You're full of surprises." As it spoke, it slowly pulled a flaming ancient sword from its mouth. "Let's see how many strikes you can survive." The moment the words left its mouth, the creature lunged, slashing with the fiery blade. But Han Zhan used the brief window during its monologue to slip on a special pair of gloves, gifted by his senior brother, Wei Qing. Then, with full force, he launched a punch directly at the incoming blade. With a sharp crack, the terrifying sword energy shattered into fragments. The Wandering One froze mid-air, stunned. "Those gauntlets? How did you get your hands on them?" "Over a decade ago, one of your kind killed a Worm King on the battlefield." The Wandering One snarled. "He was a real warrior, but you're nothing." As it spoke, it poured more force into its strike, trying to crush the gauntlets that had once humiliated their kind. Han Zhan sneered back. "I may not be a warrior, but you're no Worm King either." He activated the Eightfold Fist again, his body becoming a blur as he closed the distance in an instant. With a fierce punch, he slammed his fist into the Wandering One's right ribcage. But in that same moment, the creature's flaming sword pierced through Han Zhan's left chest. The impact sent both of them flying, separated by at least 25 meters. Clutching his bleeding chest, Han Zhan growled, "Damn it, if we don't take it down before it fully absorbs the juvenile's energy, we don't stand a chance." With no hesitation left, Han Zhan activated the second level of the Eightfold Fist, Cultivation. A surge of spirit energy flooded his body, coursing through every nerve and vessel. He launched himself like a bolt of lightning, too fast for the naked eye to follow. Before the Wandering One could react, Han Zhan's fist slammed hard into its chest. In the next instant, the creature's massive body shattered into pieces. Standing firm, Han Zhan looked down coldly and said, "You lost." But to his shock, the Wandering One burst into laughter. "No, you lost." The very next second, its shattered body began to reassemble before Han Zhan's stunned eyes. Worse still, it had fully absorbed the juvenile's energy and merged completely with the black veil. The ground beneath Han Zhan's feet came alive. Thick, earth-colored chains erupted from the soil and wrapped tightly around him. The Wandering One raised both arms, summoning a massive meteor brimming with destructive power. "This is the end, boy. No one escapes from me. You all die here." The moment the words fell, the massive meteor, capable of obliterating all life, came crashing down upon them. In a desperate move, Yi Fan activated his final charge of immortality, standing between the team and certain death. But against a force like this, one human was far too small. His last remaining use of immortality lasted only 2.5 seconds. before shattering completely. Just as Ifan was about to be crushed, the meteor suddenly froze in midair. Then, an aged but powerful voice echoed across the battlefield. Eightfold fist, sixth form, / scenic strike, unleashed. In the blink of an eye, both the Wandering One and the massive meteor were obliterated under a golden fist strike, reduced to dust. As the all-consuming black veil finally dispersed, a familiar figure stepped out from the void. Li Shutong had arrived. Seeing his master reappear, Han Zhan's heart finally settled. He exhaled softly, a tired smile on his lips. Guess, I'm finally off duty. Then everything went black as he collapsed unconscious. When Han Zhan finally woke up, 2.5 days had passed since the battle. According to Xia Yuwei, while he was unconscious, their teacher had eliminated the 10 parasites. But since the queen couldn't be located, the threat wasn't fully resolved. Ifan, who had thrown everything into blocking the meteor, had nearly every bone and vein shattered. Though he survived thanks to his immortality ability, he was still in the ICU, barely hanging on. Just then, a nurse burst into the room, clearly flustered. You're his teammates, right? Ifan, he's gone missing. That's when Xia Yuwei recalled their teacher's instructions to track down the Mind Eater themselves. With Bai Shuang still missing, it was clear Ifan had gone after them. Han Zhan immediately got out of bed and said firmly, Bai Shuang is a Tier 4 Mind Eater. She can reproduce asexually and split herself indefinitely. But if the queen parasite is destroyed, all the offspring will die with her. Ifan must have figured that out and set off on his own. Xia Yuwei added grimly, one more thing. The Guardian organization deducted 100 points from Squad 0527 that they didn't even leave behind the Wandering One's corpse. All materials were taken straight back to headquarters. Since the mission was ultimately completed by Li Shutong, all other squads were marked as failures and had their points deducted accordingly. When Han Zhan heard this, he actually laughed in disbelief. We were out there fighting for our lives, and the people behind us were pulling shady moves against us, and Master didn't say anything about it. Xia Yuwei replied softly. He said it's a matter between you and the Deep Blue City Guardians. No one else will interfere. Upon hearing that, Han Zhan grabbed Xia Yuwei's hand and headed straight for the exit. Let's go. We're taking back what's rightfully ours. If Master said no one would get involved, that means it's not just him. The other big shots won't step in either. Meanwhile, inside the Guardians' headquarters, a group of smug officials sat celebrating. Captain Zhao was generous this time. He shared the Tier 4 insect materials with all the squads. Just then, the doors were kicked open. Han Zhan stormed in with Xia Yuwei at his side. Where's Zhao Hu? Get your ass out here. The room went dead silent. Only Zhang Xiaobei chuckled and said, Whoa, Captain Han, who pissed in your tea? Watch your mouth. This ain't the kind of place where you get to throw tantrums. As he finished speaking, he lunged forward, fists raised. But before he could even get close, Han Zhan slapped him clean across the face, swift and brutal. With power surging through his arm, Han Zhan flung Zhang Xiaobei hard onto the ground. Has anyone ever told you your smug little grin makes people want to rearrange your face? The onlookers were stunned. One move, and he's on the floor? That's just insane. Hearing the murmurs around him, Zhang Xiaobei growled, drew a dagger, and lunged forward again. Same result. Han Zhan disarmed him with a single effortless move. Still not convinced? Fine. I'll beat some respect into you today. Just then, Zhao Hu stormed onto the scene, roaring, Han Zhan, what the hell do you think you're doing? Han Zhan smiled coldly as he lifted Zhang Xiaobei by the collar. I want you to apologize to me and to my team. Right here, right now. Zhao Hu scoffed. What a joke. Keep dreaming. He then ordered his men to send the footage of Han Zhan's actions to Guardian HQ, specifically to the third in command, Su Mingxian, and the Internal Affairs Unit. You're finished, kid. Once they see that video, HQ will tear you apart. Xia Yuwei looked worried, but Han Zhan calmly reassured her, relax. With my teacher backing me, they won't dare lay a finger on me. As expected, a subordinate quickly returned with a report. HQ says this is an internal issue for Deep Blue City's Guardians. They're leaving it to you to handle. The Internal Affairs Division added, that the young man who fought was quite impressive. They want to know if Han Zhan would be interested in joining them. Zhao Hu completely lost it. Damn it. Freaking bureaucrats. But with the situation what it was, he had no choice but to swallow his pride. He turned to Han Zhan and asked through gritted teeth, "Fine. What do you want from me? How do I make this right so you'll drop it?" Since the materials from the Wandering One had already been divvied up, Han Zhan made his demand. "Open the Guardian's vault. I'll choose whatever I want, on behalf of my whole squad, until I'm satisfied." Zhao Hu's first instinct was to refuse. The vault contained some of the organization's most valuable resources. But after a moment's thought, he figured Han Zhan only had 2 hands. How much could he really carry? With a bitter expression, he nodded. "Fine, but only you are allowed in. And when you come out, whatever you carry must be in your hands. No hiding anything anywhere else." Han Zhan released the barely conscious Zhang Xiaobei with a slap and smirked. "Deal. You better not go back on your word." As soon as the deal was made, Han Zhan's eyes narrowed, a sly smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. "Let's see who's getting the last laugh. Nothing hidden except in your hands, huh? Ha! Good thing they didn't mention spatial rings." With that, he stepped through the massive vault doors, surrounded by shelves of priceless treasures. Outside, one of the guards leaned toward Zhao Hu, whispering, "Captain, are you sure this is okay? What if he causes trouble in there?" Zhao Hu waved him off. "There are over 10,000 items in that vault. He's just some fresh academy graduate. He won't know what's what. And even if he does, what can he carry with 2 hands?" Meanwhile, Han Zhan was already deep inside, his eyes dancing across the countless treasures stacked to the ceiling. Everfrost petals, branch leaf grass, the limbs of a tier 3 bone ant, the wings of a tier 5 ghost moth, and even the shell of a tier 6 wall crab. That's a top-tier material for crafting defensive gear. A grin spread across Han Zhan's face. "Well then, I'd be a fool not to take all this." Without hesitation, he activated his spatial ring, quietly sweeping every valuable item he could find straight into his inventory. 2.5 hours had passed, and Han Zhan still hadn't come out. Zhao Hu was starting to get nervous. Just as he was about to go check for himself, a calm voice echoed from the entrance. "Apologies for the wait, everyone." Xia Yue rushed over as soon as she saw Han Zhan's figure. "How'd it go, Han Zhan? What did you get?" Han Zhan simply gave her a cryptic smile. Without another word, he took her hand and walked away. "I'll tell you once we're home." Zhao Hu stared after them, confused. What the hell? He came out empty-handed? Didn't take anything at all? He immediately ordered his men to go in and check. A moment later, his phone buzzed with a panicked report. That kid, he took half the vault. Half. Zhao Hu's ears rang with rage. That greedy bastard. The vault belongs to the Guardian organization. If he'd taken just a few items, we could have covered it up. But half the damn vault? There's no way HQ lets this slide. He filed a formal complaint, reporting everything to headquarters. The response? Just 5 words. "Nice resolution. Good job." Zhao Hu stood there, dumbfounded. What the hell? Freaking bureaucrats. Back at the villa, Han Zhan sat on the couch, quietly reflecting on the day's events. Teaching Zhao Hu a lesson wasn't just satisfying. It was a clear warning. Let's see if he dares to act tough again anytime soon. Just then, Xia Yue walked over, fresh from the shower, and spoke softly. "Han Zhan, it's really late. Come to bed with me. Ever since you got hurt last time, I've been afraid of losing you. So tonight, no matter what, I'm not letting you go." But just as things are starting to heat up, the door creaked open with a loud squeak. A girl appeared in the doorway, wearing a loose, vacuum-sealed nightgown with nothing underneath. Xia Youwei's face turned crimson, and she instantly slid off Han Zhan in embarrassment. Han Zhan glanced at the new arrival, confused. And you are?" The girl grinned mischievously. "You're living in my grandpa's house and don't even know who I am?" It finally clicked. This was Li Lingjin, his teacher Li Shudong's granddaughter. But what shocked him even more, she had awakened one of the 10 ancient divine artifacts, the Shinnon Cauldron. Han Zhan sighed, covering his eyes with one hand as he pointed at her outfit. Are you seriously okay walking around like that?" Li Lingjin casually shook her head. This is how I'm most comfortable at home. Staying like this helps spark my creativity. Then, she leaned in closer to Xia Yue with a mischievous grin. Oops, did I interrupt something earlier? Were you two about to continue? If not, maybe we should. Xia Yue immediately flared up. You just met? There's no emotional foundation at all. How can you be so reckless? Li Lingjin tilted her head in confusion. Why would signing a contract require emotional foundation? Realizing she misunderstood, Xia Yue turned beet red and let out a tiny "oh." Stepping in to change the subject, Han Zhan spoke up. Your E-rank talent has divine potential. If you form a contract with me, I can use divine illumination to help you undergo a second awakening. Li Lingjin's eyes lit up instantly. Really? Then let's do it now. Without hesitation, she started unbuttoning her nightgown. Han Zhan froze. Wait, hold on. What does taking off clothes have to do with forming a contract? Li Lingjin replied seriously. I'm a best-selling author. In my books, contracts always require close-range, physical contact. Han Zhan and Xia Yue both turned dark in the face. No wonder your books keep getting banned. Han Zhan shook his head with a sigh. Looks like I'll have to save you from yourself before you do anything too outrageous. As soon as he finished speaking, golden chains of contract magic appeared around both of them. Han Zhan suddenly opened his eyes wide and shouted, Divine Summon! A surge of powerful energy erupted from Li Lingjin's body. Within just 2.5 seconds, a phantom image began forming above her head, one of the 10 ancient divine artifacts, the Shinnon Cauldron. As more and more energy surged into her body, Li Lingjin's contracted spirit underwent a complete transformation. She evolved from an E-rank spirit into a top-tier SSS-Rank artifact spirit and awakened a divine trait called True Essence Refinement, allowing her to absorb the essence of spirit-rich materials, whether rare herbs or insect beasts, and condense their energy into its purest form. Witnessing this, Han Zhan was stunned. Wait, this ability can extract pure energy? Doesn't that mean she could basically power up anytime she wants? Li Lingjin slowly returned to consciousness. Staring at her glowing hands in awe, she whispered, This is my ability? Han Zhan nodded with admiration. Yep, it's incredible. Want to give it a try right now? Xia Yue, catching the vibe, quickly stood up. I'll go get some tea. You two carry on. As she left, she muttered with a wry smile. Didn't expect the little one to also be a divine-ranked spirit. What a surprise. But 2.5 minutes later, just as she returned with the teapot, she was startled by the sounds coming from inside the room. Rustling, followed by Li Lingjin's panicked voice. Stop, stop. Don't put in any more. It's already full. Xia Yue paused for a moment after hearing the strange cries. Then, with a flash of anger, she kicked open the door. What the hell are you two doing in there this late at night? But as soon as she saw the scene inside, her pale face instantly flushed red. Turns out, they really were putting things inside. They were refining materials using the Shinnon Cauldron. At that moment, the cauldron erupted in radiant light under Li Lingjin's command. Moments later, several pristine white pills condensed into Han Zhan's hand. Xia Yue hurried over and asked, What are these? Han Zhan replied calmly, They're spirit energy pills. Taking one can boost at least 1% of your core energy. Before she could marvel at the result, Li Lingjin returned to human form and suddenly threw herself on a Han Zhan. Han Zhan, the pill fire inside me hasn't been extinguished yet. I'm burning up. You have to help me cool down. Han Zhan's face turned beet red. He muttered, Don't be like this, but his hands were already pulling Xia Yue into the mix. What happened after that? Let's just say some curious viewers might want to explore off-screen. The next morning, lying between the two girls, Han Zhan couldn't help but feel like he had officially won at life. Li Lingjin lay back on the couch with a satisfied smile, her eyes twinkling. I didn't expect you to be this good. Truly eye-opening. Even Xia Yue couldn't help but admit, blushing slightly. After those 8 rounds, her internal energy feels way more refined. Feeling the awkward atmosphere, Han Zhan cleared his throat and quickly changed the subject. All right, enough rest. From today on, we begin officially investigating the 10 queen parasites and searching for the missing members of Squad 0527. Li Lingjun blinked in confusion. Wait, someone went missing? But the moment she saw Bai Shuang's photo, she let out a small gasp. Hey, I think I've seen this woman before. Doesn't she often go dancing at night? Xia Yue asked suspiciously. How would you even know that? Li Lingjun replied matter-of-factly. Because I go there too. Breeze Ballroom. It's the biggest dance hall in all of Deep Blue City. You guys really didn't know that. Han Zhan's eyes lit up with excitement. Perfect. That gives us a solid lead. He immediately pulled out a small spray bottle and spritzed both of them with it. The girls winced and covered their noses. Ugh, what is that awful smell? Han Zhan explained seriously. It's pyracantha blossom spray. Parasitic bugs are extremely sensitive to its scent, makes them go berserk. It's perfect for detecting whether someone's been infected. After making all the preparations, Han Zhan took Xia Yue and Li Lingjun straight to Breeze Ballroom, the most popular nightclub in Deep Blue City. As soon as they entered, he approached the front desk and asked, "Is there a woman here named Red Iris?" The employee's expression turned oddly twisted. He raised an eyebrow and smirked. "Excuse me, sir, did you just say Red Iris?" Han Zhan nodded firmly. "Yes, Red Iris." The moment he repeated the name, the entire ballroom went silent. Every pair of eyes in the room locked onto them. Just as Han Zhan was about to brace for a fight, the bartender suddenly shouted with excitement. "Finally, someone said the name. That means this guest is the one. We've been waiting. He's paying for everything tonight. Drinks for everyone on the house." Instantly, the crowd erupted in cheers. People hooped, clapped, and even shouted, "Let's go! Woohoo takeoff!" Still baffled, Han Zhan tried to make sense of the situation. The bartender leaned in and explained, "Yesterday, a mysterious guest racked up a huge tab and said someone would eventually come in and say the words Red Iris. That person, meaning you, would cover the entire debt and treat the whole club." Upon hearing the bartender's explanation, Xia Yue frowned sharply and muttered, "Who does something this nasty?" But Han Zhan had already figured it out. "It's Yifan," he said calmly. "Only he would leave a gift like this." The bartender then pulled out a wooden box from under the counter. "The same man left this too," he said. "He insisted I hand it to you personally." As soon as Han Zhan took the box, he noticed it was cloaked in a faint golden glow, a familiar aura that only belonged to the innate talent called Undying. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the golden shield shimmered and slowly dissolved, as if it had recognized his presence. Inside the box was a single folded slip of paper. Opening it, Han Zhan found two pieces of information. One about Yiming, the captain of Deep Blue City's 1st Tactical Unit. The other about the parasite known as the erosion worm. Li Lingjun peered over his shoulder and asked curiously, "This was left by your teammate, right? What's he trying to say?" Han Zhan paused for a brief 2.5 seconds, then replied, "The mother worm started splitting back in February. That means there are currently 7 confirmed hosts infected across Deep Blue." He raised his gaze with solemn determination. "This changes everything. We can finally narrow down the targets." Just as Han Zhan finished speaking, he suddenly felt nature's call. He turned to Xia Yue and Li Lingjun, saying, "Wait here. I'll be right back." Then he headed toward the restroom. As he entered, he brushed past a middle-aged man in a suit on his way out. The man had almost left when he abruptly stopped in his tracks. His face twisted with rage, and he shouted maniacally, "Damn it! That scent, it's lilac. I hate lilacs more than anything." Without warning, he lunged forward, swinging a heavy fist at Han Zhan. Han Zhan remained unfazed. With a single palm strike, he sent the man flying 25 meters across the corridor. As the man tumbled backward, a flash of silver burst from his mouth. A parasitic worm erupted from his body like mist from a ruptured pipe. Recognizing it instantly, Han Zhan snatched it mid-air with a single motion. With a firm squeeze, the erosion worm was crushed into a sludgy pulp, completely obliterated. Hearing the commotion, Xia Yue and Li Lingjun rushed over, their faces filled with concern. Han Zhan calmly dusted off his hands and said, "It was an erosion worm. Its host was the owner of this dance hall. Situation handled." After hearing Han Zhan's explanation, Xia Yue fell in a deep thought. There are 7 hosts in total. We've only identified one. Who could the others be? Li Lingjin chimed in with a frown. If I go by how I write my novels, the bad guys are always the ones closest to the protagonist. What if the people around Yiming are already infected? Han Zhan nodded, no longer hesitating. Let's move. We need to find more leads, now. But just as he stepped out of the dance hall, a young man wielding a machete rushed at him, screaming, Han Zhan, I'll kill you. Han Zhan calmly sidestepped the attack with minimal effort. Then he launched a powerful kick, sending the man crashing to the ground, instantly knocking him out. As the man fell, another silver-white insect burst from his mouth. Without missing a beat, Han Zhan raised his hand and crushed the creature midair. Another erosion worm? Li Lingjin said, stunned. This is getting way too convenient. Xia Yue glanced at the fallen attacker and gasped. Wait, I know him. He's one of Zhao Hu's men. Hearing that, Han Zhan's eyes lit up with realization. I've got it. Every single infected person has a connection to this place. Yiming, the dance hall owner, Bai Shuang, even this guy, they've all been to the Breeze dance hall. His expression turned grim as he continued. And there's only one common link between them. Zhao Hu, the acting captain of Deep Blue City's first squad. Suddenly, a chill shot through Han Zhan's heart. Damn it, I know exactly where Yi Fan went. Meanwhile, on the top floor of the Guardian's headquarters, Zhao Hu was rhythmically grunting as he exercised. Sitting on his desk, the flirtatious secretary giggled. Captain Zhao, you're amazing ! Just as he was about to finish, the door burst open with a loud bang. Yiming stormed in, straight from the hospital, rage burning in his eyes. Zhao Hu, you murdered Yiming to steal his position and used those parasitic bugs to suppress gifted awakeners and bonded spirits. With all those crimes on your head, how dare you still walk free? Zhao Hu sneered. You must be that useless little brother of Yiming, huh? What's wrong? Your girl died. So now you're here to throw a tantrum? Yiming's fury boiled over. This is all you're doing. Tonight, I'm settling this once and for all. But Zhao Hu remained smug. Don't blame me. Blame them for picking the wrong side and having shitty luck. And you? You've been standing here, flapping your mouth, not worried about the reinforcements coming. The moment the words landed, Zhao Hu's men rushed in. This man tried to assassinate a city guardian. Execute him on the spot, one of them shouted. Yiming's eyes burned with rage as he activated his immortal shield. You scumbags dare play the victim? Fine, I'll take you all on. Just then, Han Zhan arrived with Xia Yue and Li Lingjin. With a flick of his wrist, he blasted several attackers flying into the walls. Zhao Hu's face twisted in shock. Han Zhan, why the hell is he here? Even Yiming froze. Han Zhan? What's he doing here? Han Zhan gave a light smile. What? You thought we'd just let you get ganged up on alone? Zhao Hu growled. Captain Han, are you seriously siding with this assassin? Han Zhan's voice turned cold. This is between us and Zhao Hu. Anyone who doesn't want to die, get lost. His eyes narrowed, voice chilling. I tried being nice, but if you're so eager to die, I'll gladly oblige. Seeing this, Han Zhan charged in, fists flying. His punches landed like thunder. His enemies couldn't even fight back. In just moments, they were all on the ground, groaning in pain. Yiming watched in shock. How long has it been? And his fists are even sharper than before. Suddenly, Li Lingjin pointed and shouted, Han Zhan. Zhao Hu is trying to escape. Han Zhan dashed after him. Zhao Hu, you're not getting away. He drove a brutal punch straight into Zhao Hu's gut. The next second, Zhao Hu coughed up blood and stumbled backward. Just then, a tiny bug shot out from Zhao Hu's forehead. Luckily, Han Zhan reacted instantly. Before the bug could flee, he crushed it mid-air with a punch. Someone nearby screamed, You actually killed Captain Zhao? Are you insane? Don't tell me. You think the Guardians are the top power in Deep Blue City? The real ruler is the city lord himself. Hearing that, Han Zhan's expression darkened. Damn it, we've walked right into their trap. He turned to the others and said firmly, You three, Go find our teacher now. He's the only one who can get us out of this. Xia Yue shook her head without hesitation. No, no matter what happens, I'm staying with you. Seeing her resolve, Han Zhan didn't argue. He grabbed her hand and bolted without looking back. Meanwhile, in the city lord's mansion, the lord gave a chilling order to his guards. Spread the word. Han Zhan, a Guardian Squad 0527, is suspected of assassinating Zhao Hu. I want him hunted across the entire city. His face was twisted with malice. Didn't expect the bait to be taken so quickly and the fish to bite so deep. Under the night sky, Han Zhan walked alone into the empty streets, pushing open an old wooden door. He knew clearly in his heart he had to separate from Xia Yue and the others. Otherwise, they'd be dragged into the storm. Just then, a stern-faced old man appeared at the top of the stairs, gazing down coldly. Han Zhan, you killed an officer of the organization. Surrender now. His voice suddenly roared like thunder. Kneel! An overwhelming pressure crashed down like a mountain. Han Zhan's legs buckled. He couldn't resist it and was forced to his knees. Elsewhere, in a traditional pavilion with carved beams and flowing tea steam, Li Shutong sat calmly, pouring tea into an empty cup across from him. With a faint smile, he said, "So mysterious. We've been old friends for years. Is all this cloak and dagger really necessary?" A man in black stepped out from the shadows, his tone probing. "Your chosen successor has already been captured. The evidence is solid. He's set for public execution tomorrow, yet you're still this composed." Li Shutong slammed the teacup on the table, his face darkening instantly. In the blink of an eye, a tiger-like pressure burst from his body. His eyes were razor-sharp as he growled. "Do you really want to turn this into a war between old friends?" The man in black shrugged casually. "Even if you destroy this quantum clone, it changes nothing. Old Shang gave each of us plenty of backups, didn't he?" Li Shutong eased his aura and chuckled, shaking his head. "Look at me, almost forgot about that part. But it doesn't matter. The real surprise hasn't even started yet. Just wait." The man in black said nothing more. His figure slowly faded until he vanished completely. Moments later, one of Li Shutong's disciples approached. Lin Jingxian bowed and asked, "Master, should I go rescue junior brother?" Li Shutong stared into his teacup and spoke softly. "I've tolerated their games within the organization long enough. I couldn't act until I found the true mastermind. They thought luring Han Zhan with Zhao, who would tie my hands. But who said Han Zhan wasn't my bait?" He looked up into the distance, eyes deep as the sea. "Life is like a game of chess. Every move rewrites the board. Han Zhan, the next play is yours." Elsewhere, Han Zhan sat bound hand and foot in an empty, silent chamber. The air was suffocating. An elder approached, voice cold as ice. Still refusing to confess? Han Zhan gritted his teeth. Confess? To what crime? The elder's expression darkened. Without warning, he slammed a heavy punch into Han Zhan's chest. Watching him stumble, the elder sneered. "Wake up. Li Shutong can't save you now. You have two choices. First, join us. You don't need to know who we are, only that Li Shutong represents the past, and we, the future. Second, keep resisting. But if you last till tomorrow, your head will roll beneath the execution blade." Hearing this, Han Zhan's eyes sharpened. He asked coldly, "So, the Tier 4 insect, the devourer worm, you planted it for Ming to discover and bring back to Deep Blue, didn't you?" The elder didn't bother hiding it. "You could say that. To us, the insectoids aren't enemies. Used correctly, they're the most efficient weapons." A cold light flashed through Han Zhan's eyes. "I know exactly what to choose now." The elder leaned in with a chilling tone. "Then tell me, what's your choice?" Han Zhan smirked and chuckled. "My choice is option 3. Go screw yourself." The elder's face turned dark as thunder. He roared with fury. "You're courting death." The next day, every major news outlet blasted the same headline. Breaking: Squad 0527 Captain Han Zhan to be publicly executed today for treason and the murder of a senior officer. The city lord sat high on the second floor of the observation tower, looking down at the execution ground below. A subordinate hurried over and reported respectfully, "My lord, Everything is ready. The execution can begin on your command." The city lord gave a lazy nod, then asked, "What about those 3 who escaped yesterday? Any news?" The subordinate lowered his head, clearly uneasy. "They're extremely cunning, sir. We suspect they may be hiding in a villa, but we—" "No excuses," the city lord cut him off coldly. "Keep searching." His gaze shifted to Han Zhan, standing calmly on the execution stage. He muttered, "The time's almost up." And yet, he's still so calm. What is he hiding? Meanwhile, Han Zhan stood silently, deep in thought. "Teacher once told me to do whatever I needed. He backed me no matter what. Why? Did he already foresee all this? Has everything already been set in motion?" In the plaza, the crowd buzzed with rumors. Isn't that the guy who awakened an SSS-level soul contract talent? No way. How did he become a traitor? I heard the higher-ups demoted him to the Guardian Alliance. He snapped and went on a killing spree. At that moment, the city lord rose and waved to the crowd. His gesture instantly silenced the murmurs, and the entire plaza fell quiet as all eyes turned to him. The crowd buzzed with whispers, clearly shocked that the city lord had shown up in person. Standing atop the platform, the city lord scanned the entire plaza and spoke loudly. "Today is both a day of pride and a day of sorrow. We are about to lose a young man with extraordinary talent. He could have been one of the greatest soul contractors of the next generation. But because of selfish hatred, he turned to senseless slaughter." He paused, then raised his voice with sharp authority. "Worse still, he conspired with insectoids and threatened the peace of Deep Blue City. Tell me, should such a man live?" The speech ignited the crowd's fury. They roared in unison, "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!" Seeing the people so easily stirred, the city lord smiled smugly. In his mind, there was no doubt Han Zhan would die today. With a dramatic wave of his hand, he shouted, "Proceed with the execution." The executioner obeyed instantly, activating the guillotine. The blade dropped at lightning speed, flashing cold steel, just inches away from severing Han Zhan's neck. But in that split second, someone, somewhere, pressed a hidden switch. The blade screeched to a sudden halt, just 10 centimeters above Han Zhan's throat. The entire plaza fell in a stunned silence. The executioner stared in disbelief, muttering to himself, "What the hell? Did it just malfunction?" The city lord immediately realized someone had sabotaged the execution. His expression darkened as he scanned the crowd and shouted, "Who dared interfere with the execution? Step forward now." At that moment, a girl calmly walked out from the crowd, holding a remote in her hand. She stared directly at the city lord and said, without a trace of fear, "Han Zhan saved my life. I won't let you execute him." The city lord recognized her, and his face twisted with rage. "Shang's sighting? The Shang family is involved in this too." Before he could react further, several others stepped out, removing their cloaks and standing beside Han Zhan. "We refuse to let you execute Han Zhan," they shouted in unison. Elsewhere, in a quiet pavilion, Li Shutong calmly sipped his tea. The man in black reappeared, sounding pleased. "Han Zhan's already at the guillotine. This game, you've lost." Li Shutong gently placed down his teacup. His eyes remained calm, yet sharp. "The game isn't over yet." He locked eyes with the black-cloaked figure, his voice steady and firm. "Don't you think you've called checkmate a bit too early?" The man in black scoffed and sneered. "We'll see." Then, just like before, his body faded into thin air. Just then, Li Shutong's phone lit up, and an urgent voice came through the speaker. "Old Li, he moved too fast. We lost the trail. We were this close to tracing the true mastermind." "Damn it." Li Shutong chuckled and said teasingly, "Old Shang, don't tell me it's actually you." The voice on the other end exploded. "Screw you. If I were the mastermind, why the hell would I let Shang's sighting march herself to the guillotine on your say-so?" The two quickly shifted back to the main topic. The voice on the phone grew serious. "We've uncovered traces of the organization behind all this. They call themselves Dawn, and they're buried deep." Meanwhile, tension was rising fast in the plaza. Ifan and the others were surrounded by curious and anxious citizens. God, are they trying to break someone out of an execution? Even the Shang family's involved. This isn't just some minor incident. Standing boldly in the center of the square, Shang's sighting raised her voice. All of you, open your eyes. Han Zhan isn't a criminal. He's a hero who fought for us all. She pointed up at the massive screen above. Watch closely. This is the truth. The screen lit up with footage of Han Zhan battling insectoids in various regions, risking everything to push them back. His figure flashed through battlefield after battlefield, slashing enemies, shielding civilians, never once hesitating. The crowd began to murmur again. He really looks like he cares about the people. Could someone like that truly be a traitor? Suddenly, a familiar figure dropped from the sky. It was the elder who'd captured Han Zhan. He hovered midair, voice booming. Silence. All of you. Among the crowd, Yifan and Li Lingjin felt the weight of an overwhelming aura pressing down. Who the hell is this guy? Yifan whispered. How can he be this powerful? Li Lingjin added, stunned. The elder unleashed a terrifying wave of killing intent. His voice echoed like thunder. Eliminating Han Zhan is Dawn's mission. No one is allowed to interfere. He fixed a deathly glare on Han Zhan and declared coldly, Today, you die. At that moment, a giant hand made of raw energy materialized in the air, roaring down from the sky with enough power to flatten the earth. Before the giant energy hand could strike Han Zhan, it suddenly exploded midair with a thunderous blast. A blinding flash lit up the entire square, forcing the crowd to stumble back in shock. The elder's face twisted in alarm. He scanned his surroundings and muttered, What the hell? Who did that? Before he could react, a sharp and invisible force slammed into him, knocking him several steps back. He tried to retaliate, but couldn't even see his attacker. As the smoke began to clear, the sky was empty. The elder had vanished, completely gone, as if erased from existence. The crowd broke into hushed chaos. What just happened? Who stopped the attack? I didn't see anything. It was too fast. Shang's sighting looked up by chance, only to spot a lone figure standing atop a distant high-rise building. The figure stood with their back to the plaza, their face obscured. But something about that calm posture, that commanding presence, made one name flash in her mind, Li Shatong. The city lord's eyes burned with rage. With a roar, he leapt straight from the tower toward Han Zhan, fists roaring through the air. Even if the gods descend, no one's saving you today. Han Zhan slowly rose to his feet, a faint glow radiating from his body. His gaze was sharp, his voice calm and resolute. If my teacher has made his move, then that means the time has come. The city lord's fist barreled toward Han Zhan like a meteor, packed with overwhelming force. But just as the strike was about to land, Han Zhan slipped aside with inhuman speed. A moment later, the ground where he'd stood shattered violently, creating a massive crater as dust and rubble flew in every direction. While the city lord was still stunned by Han Zhan's speed, Han had already appeared above him, his presence sharp as a blade, radiating raw force. Without hesitation, Han Zhan drove his fist downward like a thunderbolt crashing from the sky. The blow smashed the city lord straight into the ground, creating a massive crater with a deafening boom. Han Zhan stood at the edge of the pit, staring coldly at the fallen city lord below. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed. From a city lord's forehead, a tear for devourer worm came flying out. Han reacted instantly. He snatched the fleeing parasite right out of the air. With one sharp squeeze, he crushed it. Black fluid oozed from between his fingers. The crowd watched in stunned silence. No one had expected this. Their mighty city lord had been infected by a parasite. Han Zhan raised the crushed remains high in the air and shouted, This is a tear for devourer worm. It burrows into humans, manipulates minds, clouds judgment, and turns us against each other. You don't have to believe in me, but everything I've done was to protect humanity. Whispers broke out across the square. So that's why. No wonder the city lord's been acting so weird. Han Zhan saved us. We were all about to be controlled. Just then, Li Shatong calmly stepped forward from the back of the crowd and stood beside Han Zhan. He looked at him with a faint smile and asked, Well, Did you finally understand the meaning of walking the line between life and death? Han John smiled faintly. Having my teacher clean up the mess feels pretty nice. But next time, I'd rather be the one moving the pieces, not just another pawn on the board. Li Shetong smiled warmly and gave Han John a firm pat on the shoulder. You did well. The queen parasite is dead, and the remaining devourer worms have been eliminated. You've done a great service for all of humanity. He let out a quiet sigh and added, unfortunately, the final strike was too strong. We didn't get any usable intel on Dawn. Han John immediately caught the meaning. Dawn, what is it? Li Shudong's tone grew heavy. A hidden organization that's infiltrated our guardian ranks. So far, we've only found scattered traces. Nothing solid enough to expose them. Han John frowned deeply. The idea that such a group had already wormed its way into the Guardians sent a chill down his spine. This was bigger than he thought. Just then, Fan and the others approached, their faces grim. They spoke quietly. We found Bai Shuang's body. The words hit Han John like a punch to the chest. His heart sank, but he took a deep breath and forced himself to stay composed. Where is she now? Fan lowered his voice. There were 1,001 casualties in total. Bai Shuang, along with the others, they've been preserved in ice. A sea burial has been arranged. Before long, the bodies of Bai Shuang and the others were carefully sealed in coffins and gently lowered into the sea. The cold ocean swallowed them whole, like it was burying the pain along with them. Everyone stood silently by the shoreline, staring at the calm waves. Grief lingered in the air, heavy, unspoken, and full of sorrow. Han John lowered his gaze, guilt weighing on him like a stone. I'm sorry, Bai Shuang. I couldn't protect you. But just as they turned to leave, strange dark veins began crawling across Bai Shuang's face. Like something alive was spreading beneath her skin. Her forehead darkened, a sickly hue creeping in as if something was consuming her body from within. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. A grotesque, wriggling creature burst from her mouth with a blood-curdling screech. Time flashed forward. It was now October. A group of friends sat around a hot pot table in a cozy villa, the mood light and cheerful. Li Shudong casually asked while cooking, so, Han John, after the whole Devour Worm incident, you all hit Tier 3? Han John nodded. Yeah, even Li Lingjin finally caught up. She's officially at Tier 3 now, too. Xia Yue chimed in with a smile. My music-based abilities have gotten stronger, too. I just need more practice. Shang's sighting teased. Han John / once I awaken. How about forming a soul contract with me? Han John chuckled. Tempting, but I only contract with companions who have divine traits. Those are the ones I resonate with best. Shang's sighting pouted slightly, her tone a bit disappointed. Well, I hope I awaken divine traits someday too. Li Shetong turned to Han John and asked in a calm, serious voice, now that you've reached Tier 3, there's little left for you to learn in the rear cities. So, what's your next move? Han John's eyes burned with determination. Teacher, I want to keep getting stronger. No shortcuts, just my own 2 feet carving a path through this insect-infested world. Li Shetong gave a small approving nod. In that case, I'll contact Wei Qing. He'll have a plane pick you up tomorrow for frontline deployment. The first war zone is preparing for its final large-scale assault before the year ends. He glanced at the others. But since this is a solo trial, the girls won't be going with you. Their growth paths are different from a soul contractor's. I've arranged more suitable training grounds for them. Han John stood up, fist over heart. I'll follow your orders, teacher, no matter what's ahead. On the Great Xia front lines, dozens of heavy artillery cannons lined the top of the city walls like steel beasts. Thunderous shellfire rained down on the hordes of insectoids outside the city, lighting up the battlefield with explosions and smoke. Outside the walls, massive serpentine bugs twisted and surged through the darkness, launching a frenzied assault on the human defenses. A frontline commander barked orders with urgency, coordinating retreat teams to pull the wounded to safety, making sure no life was left untreated. The red-haired soldier stared in shock as Xiaoya returned to base. Xiaoya, what are you doing back already? Xiaoya's face twisted with rage. Zhang, Your squad lost 3 men, and you came crawling back? You've got the nerve to question me." The redhead snapped back, furious. "Bullshit. Our squad only had 5 people. 3 died. What the hell was I supposed to do? Keep fighting alone? You guys lose 2 and run off to hide. Have some damn shame." Xiaoyu rolled up his sleeve, revealing a special mission insignia on his arm. "You think I'm like you? Take a good look. I'm on an elite mission." The argument was heating up fast until the sound of a helicopter thundered in overhead. The cabin door opened. A tall, calm figure stepped out. It was Han Zhan. He approached the 2 men and greeted them casually. "Hey, I'm a new reinforcement, Han Zhan." Xiaoyu narrowed his eyes. "Where's your soul companion?" Han Zhan answered calmly back home. That reply sent Xiaoyu into a rage. "Are you joking? This is a battlefield. You're here without backup, trying to get yourself killed." Old Zhang quickly stepped in and patted Xiaoyu on the shoulder. "Easy, Captain. This kid's not from some random frontline boot camp. Look at his gear, clean, top grade. He's a city boy, high pedigree." The words hit a nerve. Xiaoyu's anger flared even more. "Oh, great. So we're the garbage pit now? They're sending some pampered princeling to babysit us." Xiaoyu turned to old Zhang and suggested, "All right then, how about this? You take the princeling for your squad?" Old Zhang immediately shook his head, waving his hands. "Nope, absolutely not. You picked first. Don't try to dump him on me now." Xiaoyu sighed in frustration, clearly out of options. Fine. I'll take him." He waved to Han Zhan. "Come on. I'll introduce you to the rest of the team." As they walked, Xiaoyu asked a few basic questions and introduced himself. "I'm a Tier 4 soul contractor. For now, I'm your squad leader. According to War Zone protocol, you're under my command." They soon arrived at a makeshift camp. Xiaoyu pointed to 2 figures nearby. "Those 2 are your new teammates, Kai Shifang and Shi Xiaoqian." Shi Xiaoqian was wringing out her soaking wet jacket, grumbling under her breath. "This mission was awful. I'm drenched to the bone. So damn uncomfortable." As she tried to take off her jacket, it got caught on her collar. Without looking, she called out, "Hey, give me a hand, will ya?" Han Zhan looked mildly helpless, but stepped forward and helped her out anyway. Once the jacket was off, Shi Xiaoqian gave him a quick once-over and turned to Xiaoyu. "This the new guy? Alone? Let me guess, his soul companion's in disguise or something. He actually looks kind of pro." Before Xiaoyu could reply, Han Zhan smiled and spoke up. "I'm Han Zhan, new member of the squad." He reached into his spatial ring and pulled out a few items. "I brought some small gifts. Thought I'd share." Han Zhan pulled 3 sets of Tier 6 armor from his spatial ring and handed them to his squad mates. Kai Shifang and Shi Xiaoqian's eyes lit up immediately. "Whoa, real Tier 6 gear. Thanks, man." Xiaoyu waved it off. "I don't need it. I'm a mech operator. I don't wear stuff like that." Still, he couldn't help but think. So, it's true. He really is a city elite. A spatial ring, Tier 6 armor. This guy's loaded. Clearing his throat, Xiaoyu turned away. "You guys get to know the rookie. I'm heading out to collect mission supplies." As Xiaoyu walked off, Han Zhan asked, "Is he really a mech operator?" Kai Shifang nodded. "Yeah, his soul companion died on the front lines. The war zone gave him a second chance to fight inside a mech." Shi Xiaoqian added, "He hates those do-nothing higher-ups the most." Then she froze, realizing what she'd said. "Oh, sorry. I forgot you're also, one of them." Xiaoyu returned, tossing a heavy supply pack to the group. "Gear up. Mission starts now." He scanned them with a stern gaze. "This one's a blue-level op, codename, Cut the Bloodline." He continued, "You've heard of the Iaki Serpent Clan, right? Their reproduction rate is insane. They outspawn us at a ratio of 10,000 to 1. Even with a kill rate of 100 to 1, we still can't keep up. That's why, over a month ago, the first war zone was deadlocked with them on the front lines. No progress either way. Then, Wei Qing came back. Marshal Wei punched straight through the enemy supply lines, barehanded. He single-handedly pushed the kill ratio to a mind-blowing 100,000 to 1. But the moment he made that breakthrough, for Tier 8 Serpent Kings ambushed him. Their battle left the war zone and disappeared into the wilds. The latest mission came straight from War Zone 2. Thanks to the innate divination talents of certain soul masters, They had pinpointed the locations of dozens of Iyaki serpent nests. Squads closest to each site and with the fastest mobility were assigned to carry out a full nest destruction operation. Xiaoyu checked the timer on his wrist. Clock's ticking. Move out. He marched forward in his mech suit, its heavy steps shaking the ground with every stride. Han Zhan and the others followed closely behind, silently advancing toward the target coordinates. Suddenly, Han Zhan came to a stop, his expression sharp. "We're here," he whispered. "This is it." He pointed toward an old tree. Something massive and translucent hung from its branches. "What is that?" Xiaoyu narrowed his eyes. A snake molt. Iyaki serpents shed their skin every time they evolved to a higher tier. Han Zhan's gaze swept across the area. Then he froze. "Damn it, those bastards hid their eggs here." Xiaoyu stepped forward to examine the scene. This molt is over 6,730 meters long, and it's covered with billions of serpent eggs. No doubt about it, this is the nest. But before anyone could move, Shi Shaoqian and Kai Shifeng suddenly stiffened. A strange sound, wet, squelching like rotting flesh being stirred, echoed from all directions. Then came the whispers, layered voices, eerie and unnatural, crawling into their ears like living things. Before they could react, a chilling chorus of crackling sounds erupted around them. The sound of serpent eggs hatching, like thousands of bones being snapped at once. The sheer intensity of the noise stabbed into their eardrums like needles. It made their skin crawl and their balance waver, as if something was clawing into their minds. Then, without warning, a sonic pulse exploded outward, strong enough to send Xiaoyu, in full mech armor, flying off the cliff. Han Zhan didn't hesitate. With a burst of motion, he launched himself off the cliff after him. Shi Shaoqian and Kai Shifeng clutched their ears, horrified, as they watched both of them vanish over the edge. As he fell, Xiaoyu roared, "Damn it, get back to the mission. I don't need saving." But Han Zhan ignored him as he grabbed hold of the mech's massive arm mid-air, eyes focused, muscles flaring with raw power. With a mighty shout, he hurled the entire mech's suit back up the cliff. It landed with a thunderous thud, perfectly upright. As soon as Xiaoyu landed, Shi Shaoqian and Kai Shifeng sprinted to the edge, yelling Han Zhan's name in panic. Xiaoyu stood frozen, stunned. That strength, it was inhuman. Kai Shifeng muttered grimly, "Captain, from that height." He might be dead. Xiaoyu's fist clenched. His voice was low and filled with guilt. "This is on me. I got him killed." But just then a familiar voice echoed up from the cliff's edge. "I'm not dead, damn it. Throw me a rope already." As Han Zhan struggled to climb back up the cliff, the other three finally breathed a sigh of relief, smiles breaking out across their faces. Regaining his composure, Xiaoyu couldn't help but curse. "Are you stupid? Risking your life to save me? Our mission is to destroy the nest. How could you waste time on me?" But in the brief moment they had fallen, all the Izanagi serpent hatchlings had already emerged from their eggs, cold eyes fixated on them like a swarm of death. The four scanned the sea of wriggling serpents. None of them expected the eggs to hatch this fast. A heavy silence fell, doubt crept in. Would they even make it out alive? Suddenly, the hatchlings surged forward like a living wave. Xiaoyu reacted instantly, shouting, "Go! I'll hold them off." But there were too many. They were surrounded. There was no way out. In that split second, Han Zhan reached into his spatial ring and pulled out an item. In a flash, a golden energy barrier expanded, shielding the group from the oncoming swarm. The barrier radiated a soft, calming glow. Miraculously, it stopped the serpents in their tracks. They gathered outside the shield, hesitating to get any closer. Then, something even stranger happened. The snakes lowered themselves, slithering flat against the ground as if surrendering. Seeing this, Han Zhan shouted, "Captain, what are you waiting for? Burn them!" Snapping out of it, Xiaoyu activated his mech's flamethrower. A torrent of fire roared forward. The hatchlings shrieked in agony, writhing as flames engulfed them. The ground turned black and scorched, smoke rising into the air. Kai Shifeng stared in awe. "Han Zhan, what did you just do? That was incredible." Han Zhan replied modestly, Just used a piece of gear. Got lucky it worked on them. Xiaoyu kept the flames going, sweeping across every inch of the nest. Only when the last serpent was reduced to ash did he finally stop. Stepping out of the mech, Xiaoyu gave Han Zhan a sharp look. Who are you really? You're nothing like the pampered brats from a city. Han Zhan smiled calmly. Just a regular Tier 3 contract master. Nothing special. Just then, a warning blared from the mech's display screen. The system reported, the mission cut off the bloodline is going terribly. Out of all the teams involved, fewer than 10 succeeded. Xiaoyu muttered, thank God for Han Zhan. Without him, we be toast too. The map also lit up with known reinforcement routes used by the Iyaki serpent brood. If the hatchlings want to reach the front lines, they have to pass through these choke points. Studying the map, Xiaoyu suggested that snake subduing trick of yours was insane. If we hold these routes, maybe we can wipe them out before they even join the battle. What do you think? But Han Zhan didn't answer right away. His eyes were locked forward, brows furrowed. I'm not sure we can wipe them out, but one thing's for sure. If we don't run now, we're the ones getting wiped. Everyone followed his gaze, and there it was. A massive 5th-tier Iyaki serpent, the guardian of the nest. Its crimson eyes glared at them as it slithered forward, hissing with murderous intent. The group snapped back to reality. The thing was way bigger than anything they had imagined. Han Zhan shouted at the top of his lungs, "What are you waiting for? Run before it's too late." As Kai Shifeng and Shi Shaoqian ran for their lives, they muttered in frustration, "Damn it, there's no way we can beat that thing." Without hesitation, Xiaoyu controlled his mech and fired a high-powered missile straight at the Tier 5 Aokiji serpent, trying to halt its charge. The missile hit its mark, but only enraged the serpent further. Its crimson eyes blazed with murderous fury. In the next instant, the serpent lunged, jaws wide open, and clamped down viciously on the mech. Han Zhan's heart nearly stopped. His body froze in place, and words failed him. A sickening crunch rang out. The mech was torn apart like paper, its fragments scattering across the battlefield. The shockwave flung Xiaoyu into the air. He crashed to the ground, covered in blood and wounds from head to toe. Kai Shifeng and Shi Shaoqian watched in horror, eyes glued to Xiaoyu's battered body, their faces pale with panic. But they couldn't do anything. The Tier 5 serpent was already lunging again. This time, its gaping maw was aimed at them. Just as the serpent's gaping jaws were about to devour them, a golden shield suddenly materialized, enveloping the trio like a divine barrier and blocking the deadly strike. It was the Tier 6 armor Han Zhan had given them, finally activating at the critical moment. The shield held firm like an iron fortress. Kai Shifeng's eyes lit up as he exclaimed, "We're saved." But the Tier 5 Aokiji serpent, now enraged beyond reason, unleashed a sudden torrent of venomous fluid from its mouth, a savage and unexpected counterattack. The venom pierced straight through the shield like a rain of poisonous arrows, splattering directly onto Kai Shifeng and Shi Shaoqian before they could react. Within moments, the corrosive toxins began to eat away at their flesh. Agonized screams ripped through the air. In mere seconds, their bodies were almost completely dissolved, leaving behind only broken limbs and pools of blood. The last traces of unwillingness still lingered in their lifeless eyes. From a distance, Han Zhan watched it all unfold, his heart gripped by shock and fury, frozen in a moment that felt like it would never end. The Tier 5 Aokiji serpent locked its blood-red eyes on Han Zhan and let out a deafening roar, its fury laced with a suffocating aura of destruction. Snapping back to reality, Han Zhan's gaze landed on the two mutilated bodies left behind. Rage surged through him like wildfire, threatening to consume him whole. He clenched his teeth and growled, "Unlock, G-Lock." His voice was cold and laced with unfiltered wrath. The serpent lunged first, its powerful tail tearing through the air like a scythe. Han Zhan, anticipating the strike, leapt away just in time to evade the lethal blow. In one fluid motion, he activated the Dragon's Sword technique. His aura exploded like a dragon breaking free from the sea, the surrounding pressure surging. With a shout, "Wind, come!" the air around him shifted violently. A vortex of wind roared to life, howling with destructive force. At that moment, a sharp horn began to rise from the serpent's forehead, gleaming ominously, a clear signal that it was preparing a deadly move. The sharp horn gleamed with a deadly glint as it shot toward Han Zhan like a blade slicing through the air. It collided head-on with Han Zhan's summoned hurricane, creating a thunderous explosion that rattled the air itself. The storm was shredded instantly, its force torn apart like paper under an invisible giant hand. Han Zhan was slammed to the ground, his body racked with internal tremors from the sheer impact. Gritting his teeth, he growled, "Damn it, this Tier 5 Guardian is too strong. I can't take it head-on." Frustration and helplessness clouded his thoughts. Before he could regroup, the massive serpent lunged again, its eyes sharper than ever, radiating lethal intent. At that very moment, a powerful force surged in from his side, fast and focused, zeroing in on the serpent's head with surgical precision. As the blinding light faded, everyone froze at the sight before them. A long sword had pierced straight through the head of the Tier 5 Aokiji serpent. Blood gushed out as the massive creature lay lifeless. Han Zhan stood there in stunned silence, unable to believe what he was seeing. Then, from above, a girl descended gracefully, landing beside the embedded sword as if she had always been meant to end the battle. Han Zhan quickly stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Thank you, Senior, for saving my life." The girl, named Gongyang Jin, looked Han Zhan up and down before letting out a mischievous chuckle. "You're quite the looker, little brother. Just my type," she added casually, "but don't get me wrong. I'm no senior from Urdisia. I'm from a city of sin, what you people call the land of exile." At the mention of the land of exile, Han Zhan's heart skipped a beat. That place was infamous, where the world's unwanted were cast away, a massive slum disguised as a prison. Its people weren't evil in the traditional sense. Their evil came from acting on impulse, discarding morals, and doing whatever it took to fulfill their desires, no matter the cost to others. Was this girl really one of those ruthless exiles they spoke of in legends? Han Zhan discreetly checked her level, and his heart nearly skipped a beat. She was an SSS-ranked Tier 8 contract spirit. Title: Valkyrie. From behind him, Gongyang Jin suddenly spoke, her voice laced with curiosity. "That song you played earlier, what was it?" I could feel every cell in my body powering up. Felt like I could punch a Serpent King into the next dimension. Her eyes sparkled, and she flashed an excited grin. "I've decided. I'm taking you back with me. You'll be my personal battle enhancer." Han Zhan quickly took a step back. "Wait, you can't just do that." Gongyang Jin gave a mocking smile. "Really? A mere Tier 3 contract master thinks he can say no to me." Han Zhan replied calmly but firmly, "I have a mission to complete. I'm not leaving yet." Gongyang Jin stepped closer, her gaze sharp with pressure. "And what if I drag you away by force?" Without hesitation, Han Zhan drew a dagger and pressed it to his neck. "Then I'll take my own life." Gongyang Jin paused, then burst into amused laughter. "Damn, you've got guts. Fine, then. Tell me, what'll it take to get you to come with me willingly?" Han Zhan thought to himself, "She seems interested in me. Maybe I can use that to my advantage and have her help with the mission." He frowned slightly and said seriously, "I'll go with you, but only if you help me wipe out the newly hatched Yaki serpents. Every last one of them." Gongyang Jin chuckled. "That's it? I thought you were going to make some unreasonable demand." "Fine, I'm in." Han Zhan then pulled a serpent horde map from Kai Shifang's corpse. Pointing at 3 locations on it, he explained, "These are the key choke points for ambushing the Yaki hatchlings. We can hit them from the side and support the Daxiao forces for the final assault." Gongyang Jin nodded. "Sounds good to me." But just as she turned, her pupils suddenly went pitch black. She gasped, "No, the nightmare in my wound. It's flaring up again." As her voice trailed off, a thin stream of black mist began to rise from her back. The mist coiled upward, gradually taking shape, forming the outline of a grotesque, ancient beast behind her, as if some long-forgotten evil had been awakened. Han Zhan stood frozen, stunned by the sudden change and unsure of what was happening. Gongyang Jin suddenly shouted, Run! The next instant, she lunged toward him at lightning speed, surrounded by a swirling aura of violent black mist. Hanjan immediately sensed the demonic energy surging from her. His heart tightened, and he summoned the Fushi Zither without hesitation. Sitting cross-legged, he placed the zither on his lap and swiftly plucked the strings. The soothing melody of Calm Spirit echoed through the shadowy forest. The tune flowed like a breeze, carrying a serene, purifying force. As the music filled the air, the black mist around her seemed to falter, trembling in midair as if recoiling from an invisible force. The longer the song played, the more the darkness faded, slowly lifting from Gonyang Jin like smoke dispersing in the wind. She blinked in surprise and asked, "That was you?" Hanjan replied calmly, "The song has both suppressive and restorative properties. Just a small trick." Gonyang Jin avoided the topic, clearly unwilling to explain. Seizing the moment, Hanjan pressed, "That wound of yours, what exactly is it?" Gonyang Jin's expression darkened. "I was wounded by a tear, 9-insect emperor named Nightmare. I barely escaped with my life, but left a hidden scar. Its energy still lingers inside me. It can hijack my body and force me into a berserk state." Hanjan felt a chill run down his spine. He hadn't realized a tier 9 beast could be that terrifying. He hesitated for a moment before asking, "Can I take a look at the wound?" Gonyang Jin raised a brow and sneered, "You've got guts." Trying to cop a feel, despite the teasing, she casually began unfastening her clothes. "But just so you know, stare too long and I'll gouge your eyes out." Hanjan glanced at the wound on her back and said calmly, "It's not deep. I can heal it." Gonyang Jin blinked in surprise. She hadn't expected him to be so bold or so serious. After a moment of thought, Hanjan summoned the Fushi Zither once more. The notes of Calm Spirit drifted through the air again, light and ethereal, filling the forest with its soothing presence. At such close range, the calming effects of Calm Spirit were amplified. The zither's melody flowed like warm sunlight, and the black aura around Gonyang Jin visibly began to dissipate. However, once the music ended, the dark energy slowly began to gather again behind her, reforming like mist returning to a swamp. Hanjan noticed it and calmly said, "The song only suppresses the black aura. It can't eliminate it completely." Without hesitation, he pulled out the Shinong cauldron from his pouch, ready to try a different method. Gonyang Jin spotted the artifact and smirked playfully. "You're full of surprises, aren't you? A spirit contractor with 2 contracts. How rare." As Hanjan activated the cauldron, it unleashed a powerful suction force. Billions of the dead Iyaki hatchlings Gonyang Jin had slain were drawn into the cauldron and instantly refined into pure spiritual energy. He then channeled the cauldron's newly awakened Tier 3 ability, Vital Creation. With a soft exhale, a dense white mist surged into Gonyang Jin's body, infusing every inch of her skin with life energy. She felt warmth spreading through her limbs. The spiritual energy rushed through her veins, comforting every nerve and filling her with a renewed sense of strength. Moments later, Hanjan withdrew his hand and said flatly, "It worked. Your wound's about halfway healed." Gonyang Jin grinned with delight. "Can we do that again?" "That felt amazing." Hanjan frowned slightly. "Again? You saw it yourself. Those spiritual energies came from me devouring the flesh of billions of bugs. If you want another dose, bring me just as much raw material." Gonyang Jin chuckled. "What's the big deal? Let's go hunt some Iyaki hatchlings right now." Without another word, she pulled her sword out from the slain serpent and grabbed Hanjan by the wrist, dragging him forward with decisive, urgent steps. They soon arrived at the entrance of the Iyaki battlefield, a narrow canyon. What they saw was a terrifying sight. Waves of ash-gray, serpentine bodies surging in like a relentless flood, the air thick with suffocating pressure. Surveillance drones hovering overhead quickly captured the footage and transmitted it back to the Unified Command Department in real time. Report: massive influx of Iyaki hatchlings detected at the canyon entrance. The room erupted into anxious murmurs. "Damn, We spotted them too late. Where's General Guanshan? If he were here with his spirit beast, he could have sealed off all 3 entry points with his mountain shifting ability. He's been reassigned, one commander replied grimly. The bug swarm knew exactly what they were doing, another officer muttered. They've been baiting our high-tier forces into the front lines. It's subtle, but now their intent is crystal clear. Lin Jingshuan's tone turned icy. Get a one-time secure line to the 8th war zone. Tell them to hold position. No action yet. Meanwhile, Han Zhan and Ganyang Jin reached the canyon's ridge. From the high ground, they could clearly see the seething swarm of Iyaki hatchlings blanketing the land below. Ganyang Jin's eyes gleamed with battle lust. Her aura sharpened like a blade. She was more than ready to cut down every last one of them. Yet Han Zhan spoke calmly. Senior Ganyang, let me go first. With that, he leaped from a towering stone pillar, his body diving toward the battlefield like a shooting star. Watching him descend alone into the chaos, Ganyang Jin smirked slightly. Bold little guy, but with me watching, he won't die. Surrounded by a swarm of Iyaki hatchlings, Han Zhan let out a furious roar. Filthy beasts, come meet your end. In the next instant, he unleashed his 8-fold fist. The force behind each strike tore through the air like a thunderclap, sending shockwaves in all directions. Back at the Operations Command Center, Lin Jingxian and the others monitoring the feed immediately noticed Han Zhan's appearance on the battlefield. One of the commanders exclaimed in disbelief. What the hell is he doing? Charging in alone, he's asking to die. But Han Zhan didn't falter. Every punch he threw obliterated an Iyaki hatchling on impact, blood and gore flying in all directions, turning the battlefield into a hellish scene of carnage. Han Zhan had only intended to use the battle as a way to temper his 8-fold fist, but the sheer number of Iyaki hatchlings was overwhelming. There was no end to them. Soon, even more of the serpents surged toward him like a tidal wave, their momentum terrifying. Realizing he was about to be completely surrounded, Han Zhan's heart tightened. This is bad, he muttered. Just then, Ganyang Jin launched herself from above. She landed beside him with a shockwave that blasted away the encircling Iyaki hatchlings. With a swift swing of her sword, dozens of serpents were sliced apart in an instant, blood spraying through the air. Without hesitation, she followed up with another slash, her blade severing a serpent cleanly in half. After catching his breath, Han Zhan gave her a quick nod of thanks before charging back into the fray with renewed fervor. Watching his back, Ganyang Jin couldn't help but murmur, "This kid really doesn't value his life, huh?" In the thick of the battle, Han Zhan suddenly felt a surge from within. He had unlocked the 3rd level of the 8-fold fist. Vital Surge. Locked release. Eager to test its might, he immediately unleashed the newly awakened ability. The power of the 3rd strike was immense, so fierce that even the air around his fist began to distort. Ganyang Jin's eyes widened slightly. She hadn't expected him to erupt with such strength. Excited, she shouted, "I'm joining in," then leapt into the swarm, her blade flashing like lightning, sending serpent corpses flying with every swing. Back in the command center, someone watching the live feed gasped in disbelief. No way. That kid is holding off the entire serpent tide by himself. Another officer asked curiously, "Who's that woman fighting beside him?" Lin Jingxian responded with a grave expression. "She's Ganyang Jin, the so-called demon queen from the City of Exiles. A top-tier level 8 contracted spirit. About a month ago, she fought against Wei Qing and was defeated by him and his wife working together. We thought she had left the Iyaki battlefield, but turns out she stuck around and even teamed up with my junior disciple." At this point, the area surrounding Han Zhan and Ganyang Jin was littered with serpent corpses, stacked like mounds, the scent of blood heavy in the air. Without pause, Han Zhan summoned the divine cauldron once again and began absorbing the remains around him, activating his vital Genesis ability. Countless serpent bodies were drawn into the cauldron, and the spiritual energy inside surged violently, thick enough to distort the space around it. Turning to Ganyang Jin, Han Zhan calmly said, "Get ready. I can begin your treatment again." Without hesitation, Gonyang Jin turned around and revealed her back. The wound from earlier was still exuding black mist, a sign it hadn't fully healed. Focused and unwavering, Han Zhan activated the divine cauldron again, channeling pure spiritual energy into her body for the second round of healing. As the spiritual energy flowed into her body, Gonyang Jin once again felt that warm, soothing sensation. The heavy pressure within her began to lift. At that moment, Han Zhan asked in a low voice, "There's a black thorn embedded in the wound. Should I remove it?" Gonyang Jin answered without hesitation, "Do it." Her tone was firm, clearly prepared for whatever came next. As the thorn was pulled out, a surge of thick black mist erupted like a tide, releasing a chilling aura that filled the air. But Gonyang Jin's face relaxed even more than before, a hint of relief spreading across her features, as if that foul energy had taken all her pain and burden with it when it left her body.